and then we won't start yet.
Okay.
And we'll just we're live, and we'll hang out until people trickle
So another thing I wanted to run past you is I think I have an idea on how to fix contemptors. Do you want me to save that?
Oh yes, definitely. Well, that'll be in one of the first part of this video, I think.
Okay.
Because where'd my notepad go? I had a very long note on my phone, and I deleted it, and I just remade part of it.
You need to use Google Keeps.
I know. Stormbolter, how's it going, brother? I'm so glad you're here for this. Stay as long as you can, but I understand life gets in the way. We're I think we've had your videos go up by now, right, Frenchie?
Night Lords versus Custodes and yours, yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot.
And my trouncing at Luca's hand with my soul.
No spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers. Brother, yes. Spoon, just a go, brother. Yeah, the idea of one white scars. We'll talk about that. The idea of, well, if you watched the last fantasy stream, you all know that I want to do more of this kind of stuff. And I'm just trying to, what I did at one point today. So Frenchie and I, who's you'll see on the screen right now, we were talking about doing this for, it's been months. Chorus Theron, boo, Hoscarja, thank you. So Frenchie and I have been talking about doing this for a while. And today I was actually painting, well, I can kind of show you. I can't really show you. I'm working on my Dark Angels for Horus Heresy. I was painting Deathwing companions, a bunch of other stuff. I just stopped. I text them, hey, let's do it today. He's like, yeah, I'll be home in a bit. So I cleaned up my desk. I threw everything away, and it's last minute impromptu. Let's just do it. Because you ever think about starting a YouTube channel? You're never going to be ready. Just do it. All right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about State of the Game of Horus Heresy in general, and my chat weigh in. I may not notice every comment, so repeat yourself if need be. We're going to talk about the State of the Game, what we think about a bunch of things, and then we're going to go rank the legions. Then we're going to talk about each individual legion and see if we change our opinions on the rankings. I want to point out that I'm not going to speak for Frenchie, but I know he loves this game. We both love Horus Heresy 2.0.
Agreed.
We both got a lot of experience with the game at this point. You run tournaments, events.
Yep.
And the one thing that I want to say that's going to be very controversial right off the hop is I've noticed, this is going to get me some trouble, but I don't even care anymore. That
I'm ready.
A lot, no, not even you. A lot of time, a lot of time when you go out there to look for information on the game, and this would be my arrogance showing too. I understand, I have a bit of that. You get a lot of people giving advice on this game that haven't played the game.
Oh, for sure.
Right now, the internet is flooded with a bunch of advice on stuff, and they haven't played a bunch of games. But to be fair, even I did some review, my early reviews, day one of these books, I have changed my opinion on most things.
Yeah.
Because the thought process of thinking everything in terms of Horus Heresy First Edition doesn't work in Second Edition. Things just play drastically differently. The reaction system alone is the core of this game. You have to master that to master this game.
Well, a perfect example of that is the Mechanicum book. Yeah. The internet damped that book before we even got the full version of it. And it was with zero gameplay. But every person that I've played against that's running Mechanicum is oh, it's really not as bad as the internet thinks. That's because there's a million opinions on the internet, and a lot of them suck.
Yeah, I mean, I just want, just so I don't come off completely arrogant, I am, but but I have been wrong about my opinions on one of the Mechanicum, right? I think they play absolutely fine. However, one thing, let's pull this Band-Aid off right away. I don't know how much time we're going to have to spend on this. The Imperialis book, whatever the heck it was called, I don't even care what it was called. It's so bad. It's so bad. With the exception of Custodians. Custodians are fine.
They're fine.
Yeah, but the Solar Auxilia, whatever they're called,
trash.
Not even playable.
Yeah.
That being said, still my favorite, maybe one of my favorite games of all time. I love this game almost as much as I love Warhammer Fantasy. Oh, and Stormbolter's bringing up the Knights. I think they're just as bad. I played a game. I recorded it with Mitch, where we played 20,000 points, I think, maybe 10,000 points each. I can't remember. We couldn't move this many models on the table of Mechanicum versus Mechanicum. The knights are terrible. Oh, I recorded it, but there was audio issues. We recorded it in the store upstairs, so I could never put it out. I might still have the footage though. But yeah, it was knights are absolutely terrible as well. The fact that this chainsword, the size of a train, is just strength user 1 damage.
Yeah, and there's no brutal in the list, right?
Like I think none. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
All right, let's talk about issues or things about the edition. Like, there's 4 things that pop off the top of my head. I'll swoop them right fast. We can go through them, and we'll go through any yours. The exemplary battles / legacy document, pyromancy, dreadnoughts, and then vehicles are all, I think, the big things that pop up in everybody's head or talk about the most.
Sure.
Of those 4, do you think there's 1 or 2 more that would be like, oh, this one comes a lot in my area?
So I mean, those are. So the exemplary battles is a lot less. I don't think they're nearly as balanced as the rest,
Right.
but we can get in all of that. Contemptors are definitely kind of an issue, kind of not. But yeah, I mean, not really. It just seems like certain parts of the books were like poorly written.
Well, let's hit the exemplary battle / legacy with the documents first. So those came out not too long ago, but not right away. It's basically all this. So the rule books all have stuff that Games Workshop sells. Obviously, it makes sense. If you converted old stuff from old books, it became legacy or exemplary battle type stuff. As a whole, they're not broken, but there are offenders in there that just give negative game experience. And around here, and I've been lucky enough to play people from other parts of, well, North America mostly. Other groups have just decided to just wash them out. There are ask your opponent first. It's narrative. If you're just playing all comers list, you're not allowed to bring them. I kind of agree with that. Is that how you guys are handling it as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're the exact way.
Okay, so keep that in mind as we talk about anything throughout this. If we start reviewing White Scars, we're not gonna, or what's another example? Iron Warriors. We talk about like their melee capabilities or whatever. We're ignoring the Dominators. Those are one of the big offenders too. Like we're not gonna bring them into the conversation because they're not part of the core. We have to go over everything. Dreadnoughts, I have a very short opinion on it, and I want you to go on yours. At first, I'm like, oh, they're crazy overpowered. And now I'm like, they're like, they die. And they're really efficient. I think 2-up armor is really good, but maybe necessary. I'm not saying it is. I think the problem with Dreadnoughts, or the issue I have with Dreadnoughts, is actually not Dreadnoughts, it's the brutal rule. That's it. What's your take on Dreadnoughts right now?
So, I mean, Dreadnoughts are an easy way to get brutal, which to a point I kind of understand. It's a giant robot that's ridiculously strong, punching you in the mouth. Does it need to be brutal 3? I don't know, because like, I'll be honest, when we first read through the book and we read Ferrus Manus and we saw that his hammer is brutal 3, I was like, oh, that's perfect for him because he's a monster, that hammer's huge, all that kind of stuff. And then just to find out that a Contemptor can do the exact same thing was a little disheartening.
Yeah.
So maybe if it was like brutal 2 was the most they could get.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think the biggest issue with Contemptors is I think it's a 2-tier fix, right? I think 2 things need to happen to fix them. And it'll also potentially fix another issue in the game. So I personally think that Contemptors should be a 3-up save. But with that, crack grenades should also not be AP3 in melee. They should be AP4.
Okay.
So that way you're not just 10 tacticals are taking him down with ease if he's got a 3-up save.
So,
and now the benefit of that is it's also going to fix the Castellax issue and not make them trash either.
I could agree to all of that. Like, I actually like all of that. So actually, the list of 4 things I just brought up, I want to add 5th, brutal. So we're gonna get to that in a second. Yeah, bring the fist down to brutal 2.
Sure.
Crack grenades and melee should, you're right, not be AP3. And would the Dreadnought be oppressive at 3-up armor? They're going to lose a lot more wounds to chip damage, but they're so relatively cheap and efficient. I think it's fine.
Right, because another thing to look at too is a missile is a big, heavy weapon.
It has
And it
almost
does
no value
nothing.
in second edition.
Yeah, it does nothing against a dreadnought because you wound on a 3, which is great, but it gets a 2 up save. And I think a missile should probably cut through dreadnought armor. It's a missile.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. So before we jump on one of the next ones, let's talk about Brutal for a second because I actually forgot all about that one. Brutal is like the best rule in the game. Like, it's just the best. It makes Thunderhammers that much better than every other weapon option. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't want to just remove Brutal from the game, but it's really efficient. It's really efficient. I would rather like to see Brutal do. You must reroll your saves against Brutal instead.
Sure, or you could even, I'm going to say something sacrilege.
Do it,
but maybe bring a little 40k in and be like, oh, if it's Brutal 2, it takes away 2 wounds if you fail your save.
Oh, okay, yeah. You know what? Either of those I think would be healthier for the game. I'm not claiming I think Brutal is overpowered or broken. I think it's really strong and is just enough to make most other weapons redundant or not redundant, just not useful. But I mean, that's a minor thing. I can pick on a bunch of minor things in every game, right?
Now, I will say, I think Brutal's perfectly fine.
Okay.
I think the only issue I have with Brutal is that Dreadnought's Power Fist is Brutal 3. I think if that were Brutal 2, it wouldn't be as big of an issue because everything else to me makes sense.
Yeah, like drop that Brutal 3 off the fist. I would like to see that. I would actually like to see that the next FAQ, as well as crack grenades being only AP 4. And now I would also like to see the armor go to 3 as well, but those two things should go fast because the crack grenades hurt Mechanicum too much. Like, Marines already have a huge advantage over Mechanicum. They don't need AP3 crack grenades on everybody.
Right, I think except for maybe one, all of Mechanicum is hitting Space Marines on a 5. So like they already have enough of an advantage. Yeah. They don't need AP3 grenades.
Okay, so here's the Dreadnoughts thing. I want to talk about vehicles because I think the biggest problem with the vehicles, there's 2 problems with vehicles in my opinion. 3. But Dreadnoughts are the biggest problem. Whatever a vehicle can do for you, with the exception of transports, a Dreadnought can do the job better and more efficiently. There isn't a tank. I'm like, oh, this is good firepower. Now I'll just take a Leviathan with 2 Storm Cannons instead. That's one of my main beefs with Dreadnought. So you take that in effect. Now, what if Dreadnoughts didn't exist? So that beef goes away. So my problems with vehicles in this edition is the game is played in the reaction phase and they can't return fire. I don't believe I don't think it makes any. I can't figure the logical sense why the vehicles can't return fire with only like strength 6 or lower weapons, right? And like Dreadnoughts return fire, vehicles will return fire. Mm-hmm. Dreadnoughts can't be one-shotted by a last cannon. A vehicle can. Like vehicles. Okay, so laid out there, I think the vehicle damage chart, even though it's really cool, no longer fits into the balance of the game. The vehicle damage chart and the fact that they can't return fire has made vehicles completely and utterly worthless. Worthless. Any one shot can shake you, stun you, or whatever, or just blow you up. Nothing else in the game has to worry about waiting one hit and then being out of the game for a turn. Can't play the core game with the reactions. I think vehicles have been hit too hard. I think you allow them to return fire. You allow them to return fire with all their weapons. You allow them to ignore the vehicle damage chart. I know. I hate saying that too. But take away the vehicle damage chart, and I think you might see vehicles on the table again. Dreadnoughts and will still be more efficient, I think. But you might see them on the table again. Thoughts?
Agree and disagree with some things.
Okay.
First off, how dare you recommend getting rid of the damage chart?
I know. I know.
But what if we just throw an idea out there for conversation subject? What if Dreadnoughts had to deal with the vehicle damage table too?
Well, I think, the fact that they became monstrous creatures is one of the things that made them so much better.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that's a good idea, and I put 0 thought into it. Just throwing it for conversation.
Now, I know I'm not going to speak for Luca, he's not here, but Luca, he does not like the fact that Dreadnoughts became monstrous creatures. I agree with him. He thinks it takes a lot of the game, but it smoothed out a bunch of problems the Dreadnoughts have. which now, in my opinion, is making the vehicle problem very evident. The fact that I like facing on vehicles, I like that a lot. I think that is enough,
For sure.
and their massive point sink is enough to tone them down. I love the old vehicle damage chart. It was fantastic in 7th edition, but in the current state of Horus Heresy, it makes vehicles just not worth their points ever. Like the only one is the Scorpius that like is arguably worth its points.
That's fair.
Well,
Scorpius
in my opinion,
is
they're all kind of cool.
But I don't have an issue with the vehicle damage chart. What I will say is vehicles not being able to return fire with their whole payload not only feels clunky, because it's literally the only thing in the game that can, right?
Yeah.
But it also doesn't feel normal because, like, if you have a 10-man last cannon squad with your Iron Warriors, for example, and I shoot a bolt pistol at them, I'm going to get 10 last cannons returned.
Yeah.
So, like, why wouldn't the Predator do the same damn thing?
Like, the Predator would be locked to weapons and arc, so you probably get the sponson and, like, one of the side weapons returning fire.
Exactly.
Like, they already have so many things going against them, and, like, I'm not even mad at this. I think, like, okay, the rulebook organization wasn't great, we all know that, but I love the rule set in this edition. And this is, like, one of the things that I'm not mad that this slipped through, because it was old. It just makes, like, I think it set it up. I don't like the way the vehicles work in this edition. I loved vehicle damage chart in the past. I love facing. I like how they move now. I like how they fire their weapons now. I think it's all better. I think just that Dreadnoughts just do their job better. Yeah, I said it. I'm gonna check the chat real quick to make sure anybody's got a different opinion.
Yeah.
Gorf one, we do. We do mostly fantasy. We do a little Horus Heresy around here. I love this game too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
True, because the Scorpion is one of the most cost-effective vehicles that has access. Well, okay, so the real quick, we're not really there, but I guess we'll talk about that. The Scorpius. Oh no, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that in a second. I want to finish off my list. The last one was Pyromancy. I think psychic stuff has been heavily toned down, rightfully so. I like the way the psychic. I really enjoy the way the psychic stuff works right now. I would like to see a few of the powers get a little stronger, but it's not something I'm willing to like argue about, right? But the pyromancy stuff, I'm not going to call it overpowered. I think you already know what I'm talking about. But having the pyromancy blasts go everywhere, like I'm going to charge you, so I'm going to flaming whatever it's called. I'm going to blow them up over there. You're going to shoot at me. I'm going to return fire and hit them. One thing that like I would almost love the house rule is pyromancy has to target. It has to target, just like everybody else. Thoughts?
Yeah, and that comes about back to the writing thing, because I feel like rules as intended, it probably should be targeting something.
Yeah.
So it seems a bit odd that you can just be like, I'm going to light the whole battlefield on fire because I feel like it. Which, don't get me wrong, the idea of someone, charging you or targeting you and you just being able to make a wall of fire is super cool.
Yeah, I agree.
But I also didn't even think about that until you texted me about that one.
Yeah.
So I think you broke it.
I'm gonna be fair. I had the crew that comes after you every time you guys come down.
Yep.
They're the guys that pointed it out to me.
Of course. Blame something.
And Johnny Payne, yeah, no, Stormbolt. Nobody misses Magnus turn one charger across the table and like being down a whole army. No, I like we do the psychic stuff. I like to see a few powers actually get a little bit stronger. But yeah, the pyromancy thing. No, it just.
And my boy, real quick though, while I don't miss Magnus being a ridiculous shit kicker, his arch sorcerer ability is straight trash.
Yeah, I agree.
Completely rewritten.
Yeah. I feel like that, as long as as well as was like firing two weapon things, it was probably stronger in earlier iterations of the writing, and then as you like refine things, tone things down, adjust things. We've seen these books have plenty of misprints or misorganizations. It was probably something that was in an earlier playtest version of Magnus that got cut down and toned down.
Oh, 100%. Because if you read the rules, it's like, oh, okay, this sounds like from their first draft. But then they just like chucked half the rules or changed something so that this wasn't relevant and no one remembered to go back and fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. So before we start ranking our legions.
Legioning it up.
Legioning it up. Let's talk about units that we should just address before that. Like one was the Scorpius. I still to this day, well, it used to be called the Friend Maker. Everybody used to have one on their list.
Yep.
To this day, there's still people very, oh, that thing's in the list. Oh, that thing's in the list. And I've played against it like a bunch of times. And I don't think it's that. I think it's the one vehicle that's a little undercosted, but not like 100 points. Like, it needs to go up like 25 points, I think. I don't think the Scorpius is doing nearly as much damage as you would think from its profile. Large blast, rending if it doesn't move. Yeah, it kills a few Marines a turn. But it should.
Yeah, but it's also not double shooting in this edition like it was.
Yeah, no, I like where the Scorpius is sitting at. Other vehicles I'm less like. Are there any vehicles you're like, no, just never?
Like that I would just never take?
Yeah, the only one for me is the, what's that? The Predator with that one stupid, the conversion beamer.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just because conversion beamers are so difficult to, like, get to be good.
Well, I actually like the conversion beamer on a Mechanicus Magus, sitting up high and can do some good work with it. The problem is the Magus has to do cyber 30 things, you can never fire it.
Right.
I would bring it. For me, it would be an auto include in Mechanicus or Mechanicum if they could shoot and do cyber 30 things. So vehicles, yeah, fast attack bikes. We'll get to that one.
Yeah, that's a whole.
That's a whole thing for a lot of people.
Very different opinions.
I actually have to address a comment about bikes very recently again. Every unit has value. There's nothing like I would never bring that. I think the book has a good spread, good internal balance. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah,
like, not the Legion stuff, just the generic Space Marine stuff.
Generic Space Marine. There's nothing that I'm like, oh my god, this has to be in every single list.
Yeah.
Or I would never take this in a million years. So my only gripe that we've really seen here in like the Pennsylvania East Coast is with bikes. And it's just because I understand where you're coming from, where it's like, okay, bikes no longer do the job that they did in the last edition, which is fine, but it's such a drastic change.
So I'm going to catch everybody up on that part of the conversation. Often I hear people complaining about bikes the most, and I think bikes in this game are in a very good spot. Frenchie, I don't know where you stand right now on them, but I know the people in your area are like very negative on them. I think you have to stop looking at bikes as if they were in first edition. The closest, like the easiest one I can compare for you guys is look at like a 5-man tactical support squad. I gave you this analogy already, if you remember this one. Look at a 5-man tactical support squad, a good squad with plasma guns, right? Let's take a 5-man outrider squad, and for like 35 or 40 points more, you basically twin link your gun, double your movement, gain a +1 to your cover save. If you advance, you get a 5-up shrouded. You get scout, which gives you outflank. You gain a melee weapon. Like, you gain so much for 35 points. The fact that they're only toughness 4, 1 wound, yeah, but so is a Marine. He's toughness 4, 1 wound. The only downside I see to bikes is their footprint is large, so it's going to be harder to hide a whole army of them. However, I think the way that I think the game's getting played more and more around here is more MSU, not completely MSU, but more MSU. And I think bikes tear those lists apart. Now, if you go, I played Iron Warrior, like big blocks of infantry. Bikes have a problem with that because return fire is going to tear them down. But like even the scimitars with Volkite can stay out of range of most people's return fire. They're better than a heavy support squad in some regards. They're super mobile, can cover angles, get out of return fire range. I think bikes are there's a $3,000 order I got to make a White Scars bike list. Once I do, I think it's gonna be like, oh, please don't play that list anymore. It's so oppressively overpowered. I think bikes are in a fantastic spot, and I don't think people are given a fair chance. You got to stop looking at the fact that they lost toughness 5. Everything in Horus Heresy dies by turn 2, all the time. Everything's gonna die. But if you can pick your targets get better mobility, faster, better reactions, mitigating their range and your range. The bikes have a huge advantage, I think, and I'm excited to prove this as soon as I have the White Scar list. And Doesn't have to be white scars. Doesn't have to be white scars. Anybody can do it.
Yeah. Now, I think one thing so from my last visit, I came away with a different way of looking at bikes. I just looked at them the way they were in first edition, like you were saying
Yeah.
just a minute ago.
They don't do that no more.
You can't. But if you look at Scimitar bikes as mobile heavy weapons teams, because they can take all multi-meltas or they can take all Volkites, now it's showing them in a different light.
Yeah.
So my Night Lords, for example, if I run the Terror Assault, I can only take one heavy. I'm not going to waste that on a Volkite Culverin team.
No.
But I do love the idea of taking 10 bikes with Volkite Culverins and running around and doing laps around you.
Now that's going to be hard to hide.
Of course, but I don't care about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now with that being said, I would not hate it if Scimitar bikes had Battle Hardened 1. Because them being tough to
I agree.
That's a little crap.
But the Scimitars have 2 wounds, right? Yeah. Sure. I'm not gonna say they don't need that. But if my opponent is dumping their heavy weapons into my bikes, I'm okay with that. I'll react to Shroud on the bikes or return fire and destroy that squad. I think the idea that my whole theory here, and I think I'm right, is you're gonna have the speed, mobility, and firepower to put down their heavy weapon squads and keep your bikes free from that kind of fire. So anything that's strength 8 or higher that's instant kill them, you're gonna be able to hide or put them down first.
In theory, yes.
In theory. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
But I'm excited to prove that one off. I don't know if there's any other. Oh, there's one more thing I want to talk about. Actually, the Nemesis Bolter. It's 10 points. It's got to be. It's so good. It mitigates. I think every list has to have them. If you're a deep strike list, you need them to clear Auspic scanners. If you're MSU and you want to send a 5-man assault squad into like a horde of 20 Marines, but there's like a one fighty character in there, put him down. I think Nemesis Bolters do far too much work. Like, they're so good. They're so good.
So I think they're good. Have you ever played against an army that brings a ton of them, like 20?
Yes.
Yeah. You feel dirty.
Yeah.
You feel violated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're real strong. I'm not advocating to nerf them, but they're real strong.
They're way better than they used to be, because Lookout Sir in the previous edition just neutered all snipers.
My main faction, I have Deathwing Companions. I think they're the one thing in the game that's like, I don't care if you're a sniper, you never pick where damage goes. I do.
That's fair. Must be nice.
Any generic units you want to hit before we go to the cursory? Let's rank these things.
So one thing I kind of want to stress is, like, we are pointing out issues, but I also want to take some time and point out some heroes.
Yeah,
some
sure.
Awesome. First off, Despoilers and Tacticals getting Heart of the Legion. Moi.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss all day. I love that for them. Feel No Pain and Stubborn near an objective. That just makes them even more of a better option. I've always been a tactical fan, but there were some days that it was just like, these aren't worth taking.
I need to point something out. This is like not important. Like, it's not really important, but it's just funny. I want to say it. I agree with what you said, but I feel probably 100% of the time I've brought tacticals, I've gotten a mixture with other objectives. So there's that. It's just I'm not going to judge them for that, but yeah, it just feels that way for me. Carry on.
And then even like Despoilers, like, A, I love the fact that they're a separate unit now. And B, I love the fact that they have, even though everyone forgets about it, Spite of the Legion. Hilarious and brutal rule. Love it.
What's that?
Oh. If they charge something that doesn't have a character anymore, they all get +1 attack.
Ooh. There's no plastic kit for them?
No, not.
Yeah, I would definitely build some of them if there was a plastic kit. That's
I'm hoping they get a kit, and then we get an add-on or a sprue for jetpacks to add to them, because that would be an easy way to sell them.
I guess so, yeah. Oh.
That's wishful thoughts. GW, if you're watching, get to it. Send me my check.
Well, I mean, I love that. I really thought that Salt Marines, or what do you want to call them, would not be troops. Well, I'm glad they stayed there. I really enjoy them
Yeah.
there. I think they're a fantastic squad for a new. Well, the first thing I want to drop for deep striking and stuff like that. Oh, actually, you know what?
Mhm.
We should talk about deep striking as well when you're done your list. So
Oh,
don't let me forget that.
I love deep striking now. That was the end of my list.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree.
Uh, the only gripes I have is like with neutral units is drop pods are kind of poop again, which is a shame because they should just be assault vehicles. It's kind of how they work.
It's a spur of the
But they
moment,
don't.
Tabe.
Say it again.
I was telling Tabe he's asking if it's a spur of the moment or if we plan this, but no, spur of the moment.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah. So reserves or deep strike or reinforcements has been a very contentious topic with like a lot of people have been playing against. I think it is, when done right, so incredibly powerful.
Hmm.
Arguably overpowered in some areas, which we'll talk about later on, I guess. But yeah, I think reserves done right are stupid strong. But I
Yep.
wouldn't advocate to change them. This game is, it's not a tournament game. One, it's a narrative game.
Right. Exactly.
But you're on the side of they work well.
I'm on the side of dreadnoughts could be better, or not dreadnoughts. Drop pods
Drop
could be better.
pods. But as a whole, outflank or deep strike, I'm
Right.
liking the way it works currently.
Yeah, because like let's say you put a squad in a drop pod, right? They come down, they get out, they have to stand there, and they can't charge. Um, but that's kind of their whole thing is that they hit the ground, the doors blow off, and they go running out like screaming lunatics. Um, so they can't really do that unless you take a cribbo, and a cribbo is a really big points investment,
Yeah.
especially a monetary investment. But
But if your whole list was not drop pod, you can do a whole lot better.
sure,
So
absolutely.
I need to address a comment from Trajan here because it's very on topic. I think shooting reactions, not reactions to the shooting phase, are unbalanced currently. It's ridiculous that an enemy could shoot 3 times in your phase with no downside. Well, they can only shoot 3 times. You're talking about like interception reactions and augury scanners.
Yeah,
That's
interception.
the only time you're talking about like getting shot like that many times. In fact, I've had lists where I've had 5 interception units in one phase. Now I don't think it's a problem. One, I'll go through all my reasons why, and Trajan, if you disagree, point it out. All the deep strikers are causing pinning.
Mhm.
I've won games because I've struck deep properly. I've lost games because my opponent had done so. There's pinning. Without the interception, you could get like destroyed in one turn. Now, if you bring one drop pod like Frenchy said, and just drop it down, and like okay, it's gonna do nothing. It's gonna do nothing. But if your army's set to do this thing, it's gonna dominate the table. Having all those return fires or interceptions are a necessity to play the game. Now that being said, augury scanners are just for 10 points are just so good that like they're auto include on everything and take them. Like it's just why augury scanners need to be more expensive, maybe 20 points, maybe double the point cost to make me like okay, I'm not gonna put the augury scanner on this 10-man tactical squad down.
Well, and another thing to keep in mind too with that, and I don't know if it's just that a lot of people either A aren't playing it or A are doing it out of sequence, but that pinning happens first
Yeah.
before intercept.
Yep.
So, like if I come down, pin your squad, you're not shooting me.
Yep.
Now I don't have to worry about that at all. Now, granted, another
There's gonna be
squad across the
3 to
field could
5
shoot.
more squads that are gonna do it.
Right. Um,
But remember,
but
like this is second edition. You can charge right away. Like there's so much you can do. No, it's I think in my opinion, if you dislike deep striking, it's for one of 2 reasons. One, you're the one doing it and you're not doing it properly. Or
sure.
2, your opponent's doing it and they're doing it properly.
Right. Yeah.
But this is
It's
the thing I'm
definitely
talking
a
about.
very powerful tool again.
Yeah, I talked about this a few minutes ago, but this is another one of the things where you want to think about the Nemesis bolt rifle. Like you're in a turn 1, you don't want to bring your stuff down. You want to snipe out all his augury scanners.
Sure.
It has one of those things you can do. Hey, Bay, thank you for the super chat. I love redoing this video. Yeah, we've been talking about doing this video forever. I'm super excited. Okay, anything else we need to hit, or should we do the tier, the rank them up? And chat, by
Uh,
all means, weigh in if you want us to talk about something first.
yeah, I mean, nothing that's jumping out.
Okay.
I'm sure as
We'll,
we're
we'll,
making
we'll
our
be
way
all
through the
over the
league,
place.
be like, this is ridiculous. But
Okay, so what the way I see us doing this is we're gonna place all the legions in a tier. Not going through great detail because we're gonna talk about them in more detail and then come back to the tier. I suspect we're gonna put all the legions, like I would say there's 18 legions, right? I say we put probably 8 in A tier, 8 in B tier, and a couple in S tier, and that's how it's going to go. I suspect nobody's end up in C tier. Like, I think the gap is pretty tight. Thoughts on that? Your predictions before we even start this?
there's some shitty legions.
Yeah, but the
I
worst
hate to
ones.
say it.
Well, okay, well, I'll debate you when we get though. The worst ones I don't think are that bad because they're all drawn from the same core.
We can get into that.
Yep.
And obviously, as a whole, I think one of the biggest things is not every Legion Astartes ability, just looking at that ability, not the Legion or all of their other benefits. There are some that are clearly better.
Yep.
That have no, you need to do this before this happens. And I think those are all probably going to be S tier. Looking at you, Golden Boys. But yeah, obviously we'll get into that. But yeah,
my opinion would be, and again we'll have the conversation because French and I have not pre-discussed this. That's what we're doing this live with you guys. My opinion would be if you took, like a no Legion, like basically you just use Space Marines, you had no Legion rules, no Legion right of war, no special reaction, no special equipment, no special units. You're just the baseline stuff. That's a C tier Space Marine thing. Like it's still going to play very well.
Sure.
That's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. And, I don't think there's going to be any straight, like, dog water, like straight trash Legion. I just think there's some that didn't get as much treatment.
But there is going to be a hierarchy. Absolutely.
Yeah. Or maybe they were overwritten. Someone went a little too hard and it doesn't make a lot of sense or it doesn't work as a whole. But, yeah.
All right. So I just noticed that some of the heads got cut off. Damn. It's too late to fix it. But here we go. Let's just throw. We'll start not in order. We'll start in whatever order they got loaded in the screen. So the first one is Thousand Suns.
What? How's that first?
It's the order. It's the order they got put in there. Oh, because you want probably know why? I named the image 1K Sun.
You would. You would. Okay, we can start with my beloved Thousand Suns.
Oh, and chat by all means, if you want to be seen on this one, the easiest thing to do, exactly what Stormbolter just did. Thank you, Stormbolter. Just hit a letter. By the way, you're wrong about that, Stormbolter. Maybe you're not. I don't know. All right, French, you first. Thoughts?
Please hold. There we go. Okay. So Thousand Suns is my baby. I've been playing them since. I think you were my first opponent with my Thousand Suns, Steve.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, I love them, but there's some issues. So, do you want to go into legions, or do you just want me to place them on the list?
Just like basic stuff, because we're gonna go into great detail on all the legions. Okay. Basically, where do you want to put them? And like your basic argument for it.
No legion is a C.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna say they're a B. Unfortunately,
that's how I feel too. I feel strong, but I feel like they're all kind of strong.
And I can also talk for hours about how to fix them, but that's not what we're here to do.
And remember, everybody, I haven't said this yet. Our idea is to quickly do this tier list, then go into the details and come back and see what we adjust. Because, like, I didn't notice that about this unit. Oh, I didn't think about playing it that way. So next we got Alpha Legion. I immediately want to put them in A. I almost want to put them in S.
In my opinion, they're definitely an A. They're a great Legion.
Okay, I'll put them in A because I want to see if I can convince you to put them into S later. But Blood Angels. This one I thought was going to be contentious. I can't wait for everybody's opinion on this.
I'm going to say A because they have a job and they do it fantastically.
I agree.
But they have a job.
I thoroughly agree, but I've never met a Blood Angel player who didn't say they were not D tier.
Okay,
I think you both of players are thinking about first edition.
agreed.
Death
Agreed.
Guard.
Oh, S.
Okay, so I'm waffling A and S. Give me your reason for S.
They don't have to turn on their Legion Astartes ability, and B, uh, they're ridiculously tough, and they put out more firepower than any shooting Legion that I can think of.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm working on a squad for Luca. Actually, multiple
Yeah.
squads, like 10-man multi squads.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna do very well with it. Emperor's
Yeah.
Children.
I love them.
Same.
I'm gonna have to say it's an A or B, because let's be honest, they're the bad Blood Angels. They're the bad guy Blood Angels.
Okay, I agree with you. They're not S. I'm with you on A or B, and that's where we're having most of the conversation.
Yeah.
I love the idea of a 5-man bike squad with power axes, like just flying across and assassinating things. The swinging at initiative 2 at above, initiative 2 for all their heavy weapons is so good. I don't really overly like their special units too much. But we can get into that later. I think they lack a little bit of lack a little focus, but I think it's also part of their strength. So they lack a little focus. I want to put them on B tier, but it's also kind of their strengths. So they're kind of A tier. I don't know. I'm not strong on either one of these, A or B.
You know
not
what?
C,
I'm
not
gonna
S.
say A
B?
because of the weapon skill chart change and how they can manipulate that.
Oh wait, where you want to put them?
A.
Okay. Oh right, because the
Because they can make anybody suck in melee.
facial scars. That's true.
Yep.
That's true. It's a good
Okay,
one. Okay. I'm not even gonna ask the question. I'm gonna say click this
Up
this
to the
up
top.
here, and then yeah.
Yep.
Anybody disagree with that?
I will fight you in the streets right
Dave,
outside of Minnie.
If you want to argue one legion might be broken, it's these guys, and we'll get into it later.
Yeah.
Who's that?
My blood's already
Oh, that's
hot.
Iron Hands.
Iron Hands?
I love their Primarch. I love their rules. My gut says B
I'm
though.
blown away by him. I'm a B.
Yeah.
I want them to be an A so badly.
Like I want them to be like a B minus. No, not even a B minus. Never mind. No, B's good. Iron Warriors.
A,
Why?
because being able to take a 10-man las cannon squad and return fire with 20 shots.
For
Bit
that
sus.
one warlord trait, which means you can't bring a Primarch, makes them A.
Not just that. I mean, so like look at tacticals. You're making tacticals do what tacticals do better. You know, they're shooting 4 shots. There's also an ungodly amount of pinning in that army.
Yeah.
So I think as a whole, they work wonderfully as a legion together, which I think is definitely something they shouldn't
So
be taken for granted.
So Jan says very good Legion unique units, and then Michael says Iron Warriors S tier. No chance for S tier, and no, they don't have good unique Legion units at all. They actually have terrible Legion units, in my opinion. But I get to why later.
Yeah.
If I were to rank all the if I were to divide all the legions into like 50-50, like top half, bottom half. Keep in mind, I don't think the spread's very big. I put the Iron Warriors in the bottom half, and they're not bad. I think everything is good. I think everything is good, but I don't put Iron Warriors in the top half. I have so much experience with them in particular. I think we'll get to them. You know what? You want to put them in A? We'll put them in A for now. I'll see if I can talk you guys out of A later on.
So
By not talking them out of A, by talking others above them.
So one thing I'll say about them, and the reason why I think they're A, they do one thing that a lot of legions struggle with, and they make non-legion specific units very good.
I thoroughly agree with that, and we'll get into greater detail on that. So yeah, tape. I want to remind everybody, we'll do that every now and then. We're not talking about the PDF stuff because those are broken. Because Dominators are a prime example of the most broken, under-costed units. They're not balanced. But yeah, that's a very good point, Tape. But yeah, you're right. Making multi-melt is effectively strength 9. Or sorry, melted guns effectively strength 9. Las cannons wounding Leviathans on 3s and Contemptors on 2s, because those things are so prevalent. They're always gonna get used. So the Iron Warriors are actually, they are very, very good. I'm not saying they're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Night Lords. You have more experience with them than I do, but I think I got a pretty good idea on them.
I think they're an A. I don't think they're super terrifying. Like they're definitely not an S.
No, I think
But
they're only
they're
a
definitely
B.
not a
I think
B.
they're only a B.
So I think it comes down. I think Night Lords are an army that requires an experienced player,
Sure.
because they have all of these things that trigger off of you fleeing or being pinned.
Yeah.
And an experienced player can make you do that to really.
I agree, but when I was trying to make the list that would do that, and this is pure theory craft on my part at this point, but I was like, oh, I'm running out of points because I need to do this. Over here, I got to put a banner on this guy. It's like, yeah, but we'll throw them in A for now, and I'll see if I can talk that one down because I could be very wrong. Raven Guard.
My first Legion, but a B.
I want to put them in A. I think Dark Theories are bananas. I think their Legion rules. Oh, you know what? Dark Theories make them A. You know what? You're right. They're B. As a whole, they're B.
Okay, we're looking at the entire Legion, not.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Salamanders. I think we're gonna disagree on this one.
I want them to be an A.
Same. Okay, we agree. All right.
But sadly, I think they're a B.
You think they're a B?
For certain aspects. I'm okay with putting them in A, but we can definitely talk about it.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna take the A on this one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I love them being an A.
Sons of Horus.
B.
No A. Okay, you know what? I can put them in B. And keep in mind, I want you to point out anybody here. You think anything belongs in C? Point it out. I love their Legion specific rule. I think there's a few misses in their rules.
Yeah, but their units are very meh.
Yeah.
And it really drags them down to the B.
I agree with that. Their units are meh, but their Legion specific rules are actually awesome.
Absolutely. And fluffy. So fluffy.
Ultramarines.
Smurfs. B.
Buddy, I could argue S, but I think they're A.
What?
Yeah. They're one of the most adaptables, especially with their Primarch.
With their solid 1 right of war.
I don't even care about the rights of war. I don't even care about the rights of war. I can't remember what they do.
I'll settle for A, and you can sweet talk me.
Okay. Space Wolves. I don't know where to put them.
I don't either.
I don't know where to put them. All right, chat. You guys have to wait on this one because I can see you can put Space Wolves in S, A, B. You can argue C. I don't know. I do not know where to put these Space Wolves.
I see you, Alan Cotton.
We got some S's. We got some A's. A couple of D's. A. No, the D's you're way off. No way. Divine Sweet. That's golden free. B.
See, my issue with the Space Wolves is they're a one-trick pony. They do one thing. They do it fantastically, but they're a one-trick pony.
Yeah. Okay, so Abe wants us to, before we place them, Tabe wants to redefine how our criteria thing and why we think everything is A or B.
Sure.
Because I think the spread from the weakest Legion to the strongest one isn't that. They're just like the weakest Legion is still really, really good. Like there is not a D tier Legion. Like D tier is okay. This is terrible. Nobody can play this. C is okay. You can play, but you're at a distinct advantage. Or sorry, disadvantage. B is like that's a really strong Legion. A, you have an advantage. S, you need to be toned down probably. Does that make sense, everybody? Does anybody disagree with how I'm ranking this up? French, you agree with how I said that? D, not playable. C, okay, you're at a disadvantage. B, you're strong. A, you're really strong. And S, you need to be toned down.
I wouldn't be opposed to opening up C's just to give us some more variety.
You want to open up the C's?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like B's to C's.
But who would you put in C here? So in our B tier, I don't want to put any of those in C.
I would. Let's say D is no
good.
Here's a perfect example.
Yep.
Let's say D is first edition salamanders.
I like first edition salamanders.
They were trash. You honestly think they were good?
Yeah.
Buddy.
I think they were fine. I think Fire Drakes carried them.
Yeah, of course. They had one unit and everyone took 20 of them with 1,000 Spartans.
That was enough to carry them. See, so the big conversation here is, before we play Space Wolves, is what people are saying about White Scars being in C. I don't believe White Scars are even C tier. I think they're misunderstood. I don't think you have a disadvantage over playing anybody else by playing White Scars.
So here's my thought process with the whole tier system.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at A, they're clearly better than in A. Like, some are better than that are in the A's than other A's. Like,
oh yeah, well there's always going to be a spread, right? But like if we do this in first edition, the spread would be bigger. But like even in first edition Horus Heresy, I don't think the spread was that big. If you were to rank 7th edition Warhammer 40k armies, you're going to be A to D all over the place.
Okay. Yeah.
I strongly believe the spread isn't that big. There's a hierarchy. There's a first strongest, second strongest, third strongest. We can argue that all day long. But like the spread, I actually don't believe. I strongly don't believe we've had a C tier. You play this, you have a distinct disadvantage.
Okay, that's fair.
I think others are arguing with an advantage.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
So the Wolves, let's just put them in B.
Yeah, I would say B because they're very limited on what the army can actually do as a whole.
Like, probably the most powerful Primarch in the game.
Oh, hands down.
But that's not enough to carry a whole army, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay, who's that? That's Word Bearers. They took a hit.
Some cool tricks.
Yeah.
But a solid B.
Yeah, that's a solid B. Yeah. Now, here's the first of the two contentious ones, I guess. World Eaters.
So they have a weapon that I wholeheartedly believe could carry the entire Legion. And that's that rending blade. But as we've discussed previously, one trick does not make a Legion. I'm going to say B. Okay,
so this is the first time I'm going to actually argue for a C.
Okay.
I think if you're playing World Eaters, you're going in with a disadvantage. Your special units are not good.
Fair.
Your Rite of Wars, I mean not your Rite of War, your Legion rule is what again? Like literally it's what again?
Yeah. Fair.
I can't even remember. Like your Primarch. No, we're gonna have a whole discussion about how he gets hit in combat later on, but
yeah.
Plus one attack on the charge. Yeah. No, I believe this is a C tier army.
Okay, I'm down.
Okay.
I have very limited experience with them, so
yeah, I've played against them plenty. It's like, oh, so you're just gonna try to charge me again, and when you do, you're just not. You don't really have an advantage.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
All right, White Scars. I think I can make them S tier. I'm positive of it. I don't think anybody will let me give them S tier. I don't think I think you guys will fight me too much on A tier. So the fight here is B tier or C tier, and there's no way experienced White Scars are sitting in C. You have a Primarch with hit and run, amazing. A Primarch who can get on a bike, amazing. I'm gonna ignore those. 2 Rites of War that are pretty good. Actually, 2 Rites of War that I think are amazing. I'm not gonna focus on those. Their advanced reaction, I think, is one of, if not the most powerful in the entire game. I gotta start them at B, and if anybody wants to disagree, I'm gonna talk them up later.
So, I'll give them a B, mostly because a lot of White Scar players that I know of focused on them being a heavy bike, and with such a drastic changes to bikes and how they're played, I think it's kind of like what we were saying about the Night Lords. They're going to be really good in an experienced player's hands.
Yeah.
But as a novice, just coming in and being like, I took bikes because bikes are cool, they're going to be trash. So I would say B.
So, okay. Dark Angels. I think everybody put them in S tier at the very beginning of this. I think their most powerful rate of war. Sorry, what was considered the most powerful rate of war is actually their biggest liability. I think I've lost 100% of the games I've brought that rate of war because they lose points at the end because the opponent learns quickly to just run away. That being said, that's not a reason to judge anything. I think this is A tier or S tier. I think they have the best melee unit in the game. I think they have the best Legion rules in the game. No, they're S tier.
I'll give you S tier just because I haven't actually played against them yet because we have one Dark Angel player and unfortunately our schedules don't line up.
Okay. So this is what we are kind of predicting how we're going to rank them up as we go over each individual one. I guess we should probably, when we readjust this list, spread them all the way to D tier.
Yeah, I think once we go,
I guess we could leave them in the tiers they're at unless they drop or rise as we see fit. But we'll just put them in order. So, like, I'm going to assume before you can get there, like this will sit right there. Most powerful Legion in the game. But
hands down.
All right. Let's. You good on time, right, Frenchie?
Are we starting with your Dank Angels?
Yeah, we'll just go in order here, bud.
Okay.
Dark Angels.
Sweet talk me on these Dark Angels.
All right, I want to pull up the book so I don't like misspeak. Get everything, all my stuff ready here. This their D due to colors. Oh, I love their color scheme. I love their color scheme.
Color scheme is great. Yeah. That would be a fun conversation. Go through and do the same thing, but with Legion colors.
Oh yeah, I think Imperial Fist might sit in the same spot.
What?
I think they're the best looking one. Yeah. You
love yellow.
I know. I was this close to playing Imperial Fist back in the day before Dark Angels. Okay, Dark Angels. They have the hexagrammaton and the hecaton stick. Yeah. So basically, instead of one Legion rule, you get 6. And you need to pick a Legion rule for your units. So if you are Storm Wing, you have +1 to hit when you have bolt weapons. If you're Death Wing, +1 to hit in melee with sword weapons. Dread Wing, you reduce the strength of Phosphex, Plasma, and Flame Volkite weapons by 1. Iron Wing, you reroll 1s, I think? Yeah, reroll hit rolls of 1 when targeting a vehicle, and then all vehicles with it will snap fire on Ballistic Skill 2 instead of 1. Fire Wing gives +1 to wound any unit with a character in it. And Raven Wing is extra movement and reroll Shrouded. The fact that these are all good Legion, like any one of these is a better Legion rule than say like World Eaters, but the fact that you can pick them per squad, like you can have a whole roster and like I want my tacticals to be Iron Wing, I want my bikes to be Raven Wing, I want my Terminators and my tanks to be Dread Wing, but I want my sword Terminators to be Death Wing. I think this is the most powerful Legion set of rules in the game.
You're talking just Legion Astartes.
Just Legion Astartes, yeah.
So, little bit of a jab at my beloved Legion, but I think a chat will agree. What are the chances of when you pick these abilities? What are the chances of you blowing up your own head?
Oh no, 0.
Oh, okay. Then I think these are great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stupid.
We'll get to the 1,000 ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have fantastic Legion rules. Okay, for Rites of War, they got the worst one in the game.
Okay.
I legitimately can't even tell you off the top of my head what it does. That's how useless it is. I think it's when I get charged, I can do a thing where I can make myself fearless for the turn, but I have to do a leadership test. And I fail the leadership test, I'm not fearless, I get stubborn instead.
Are you talking about the reaction?
Yeah, their advanced reaction, yeah.
You said Rite of Wars. Okay.
Sorry, my bad. Oh, the Rites of War are they're actually all good.
But yes, very lackluster.
So you can fearless and fear 2. But anything that you're gonna care about getting fearless or fear 2 in particular against, like they're not gonna charge you.
Yeah. Or they already have it.
This is okay, a dreadnought came and charged me and I need to hold this objective because it's turn 5. I'm gonna do it and like it's not useless. But the time I need to use it, I'm gonna forget I have it because I never use it. It's so situational.
As we go through this list, there will definitely be some useless ones.
Absolutely.
Not one.
Slightly worse than Summer Top Standard, yeah. We have two Warlord traits, which I can't even tell you what they do. And I play this army like almost the second most, or maybe the most. Marshal of the Crown, you get additional reaction in a certain phase, but depending what type what hexagrammaton you're from. So if you're like Deathwing or
Okay.
Dreadwing, you get an extra reaction in the assault phase. But I think you get +1 leadership if you can draw line sight to this Warlord. It's not a great Warlord trait. I'd rather one of the generic ones from the rulebook.
Can we just agree that a good Dark Angel player will never be able to explain their list to a non-Dark Angels player?
No, never gonna happen.
Yeah.
No, I actually think that's actually gonna be true.
Yeah.
It's like, forget what my Legion rules are. This squad's just +1 hit with their bolt guns. This squad's +1 hit in melee. Like, it's the easiest way to explain it. Seneschal the keys. Do I even need to read these?
Sure.
This Warlord trait may be selected by blah, blah, blah. Oh, I selected one Man, they're so boring. You can declare a decisive turn and activate your Warlord trait, and your spot will get +1 weapon skill or ballistic skill against that chosen type.
Mm-hmm.
And additional reaction in the opponent's assault phase. That's the least interesting extra reaction.
Well, the Legion's kind of boring, so that makes sense.
Oh.
Didn't you blow up your own planet?
Oh. Okay. We have the most rates of war, and they're all good. Every last one of them. I'll shotgun them.
5?
Yeah. No, there's 6. There's one per wing. So you have the Steel Fist. It's a play on the Armored Spearhead one.
Okay.
Now you can't have a Predator as your HQ, but like if you can take a Rhino, you can take a Land Raider. Everything must be in a vehicle. It's just a slightly different version of the Armored Spearhead. I'm not saying one's better than the other. So of all the rights of war, this is the least interesting one because you could do this with every Legion.
Okay.
Yeah, it's slightly different. You can upgrade a few extra guys into Land Raiders instead. So it's better in that regard for more Land Raiders. You get the points, but no tank leader. But I guess Armor Spearhead wouldn't matter that you couldn't have a tank leader because you still have to have a Praetor to take a right of war.
Truth.
So you know what? It's a slightly better, for that reason, it is a slightly better Armored Spearhead. It puts Kratos in Elite. It puts Predators as troop choices.
Okay.
That's Catan Imperative, the one everybody was afraid of. It makes all dangerous terrain difficult. Or all difficult terrain dangerous. The whole of the no man's land becomes difficult terrain. You place 2 markers on the table where you get +1 to wound for maybe within 6 of those markers. It's just so deadly. It was like the most powerful one everybody built off of it. But there's a downside. You give away points by having like your opponent still alive in their opponent's zone. So I actually don't think it's a fun one. I actually don't think it's a strong one to play because you're gonna table your opponent or near table them but then lose.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
That catch with Dark Angel ones. I'm glad you kept that.
Should I go overall? I'm not gonna go over the rights of war, I guess. Either way, there's 4 more rights of war, and they're all actually very playable, and they can make very different lists. I think if you want to have a 20,000 point collection, Iron Warriors do it best Dark Angels do it best because you're gonna get like several distinctly different armies. I think it's a huge advantage.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you on that. That's one thing that like I think a lot of Legions will be very envious of. Is Dark Angels can wake up on a Tuesday and be like, today we're tanks. Yeah. Tomorrow we're shooting everyone with 1,000 bolters.
So
I'll give them that.
If I wanted to have like 17 legions, that's one thing. But like I'm not gonna have 20,000 points of any other one legion other than Dark Angels because they're the ones who can actually play whichever type of legion you want. You want to play like White Scars, they can do it, maybe even better. You want to play like Imperial Fist, they can do it almost as good. You want to play like whoever, they can do it. For equipment, they have a power sword, a Calamite Warblade that's +1 strength. Some extra plasma weapons that are like meh. They have a special console, which is just basically not as good chaplain. So their console nobody cares about. The chaplain's is better every time.
I mean, it's cool that it's a paladin.
Yeah, narratively it's pretty cool, but
yeah, to the best of my knowledge, it doesn't do much.
Primarch, probably one of the best in the game. Top 3 Primarchs, so I think.
Top 3
on the table. On the table. Maybe like not top 3. Top 5.
Top 5.
Top 5. A very good Primarch.
Yeah.
I mean, his auto 8-inch charge, like, is so good.
So here's the real question: Is Lionel as good if you take his sword away?
Yeah, he can play with the wolf blade. I wouldn't want to.
Okay. I'm just saying, is it the sword doing the work, or is it the man?
Well, okay, so his stats are decent, but I mean, he's the point of the blade special rule, which means instead of rolling a charge, you can just ignore terrain and just move 8 inches. That is so clutch on its own. He
Sure.
has a blinding assault 2 weapon, really good. He rerolls one failed save phase or turn, doesn't really matter. He has more attacks as he gets wounded. Um, he's a really good sword. Really good sword.
Yeah.
He can't fight Mortarion.
What's his invul?
His involve's 4 up.
Okay.
But Mortarion, because his sword has Fleshbane, and Mortarion basically ignores it.
Yeah.
So he's not wounding him well.
Yeah.
But like a solid Primarch, like you if you have Johnson as your Primarch, you got no reason to complain. He can't have everything. If he had Brutal, he'd be broke.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Their special Inner Circle Knight Cenobium. They are weapon skill 5, weapon skill 6 on the Sergeant Terminators that are, I think, the best fighters in the game. They're all characters. They all have a little mini plasma flamer in their hand, and they have tyrannic warblades. I tried to talk about those earlier. They're just +2 strength, breaching 5 up, killing blow 5, or murder strike 5 up.
Yeah, that's silly.
I think they are. I think in a comment in chat, anybody, is there a more powerful melee unit in the game? Is that not the best one?
Are they still unwieldy?
No. They're at initiative. And then on top of that, so their plasma flamer in their hand is strength 4, AP 4, but breaching 6+. So on Overwatch, they can do some serious work. But on top of the Hecaton on top of the Hexagrammaton, you also have the Hecaton. I'm not pronouncing any of these things right. They get to pick another special rule according to what you can have. The one I like is they get
Plus on hit with a sword.
no. Well, they're gonna take that by being Deathwing, and then they choose an order. And the order I like is Hunter of Beasts. You reroll when you're engaging combat with something with toughness 5 or higher. You reroll wound rolls of 1. But if there's toughness 6 or higher, you reroll wound rolls. So against Dreadnoughts and Primarchs, or Primarch in the list, in the fight you're fighting, your strength 6, reroll into wound with breaching 5 up, murder strike 5 up. And they're like, that's like there might be arguments for other ones being better. Like, they're just very customizable. So good.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely super versatile, which is great. Which I think is why they're so good. I don't want to say that they're one of the best units. I would say they're like top 5.
Okay.
But right now, I'm having a hard time thinking of someone that is as versatile and deadly. But I'm sure we'll figure that out as we get.
That just gives us a reason to next time we get together and rank the best units in the game.
Ah, yes.
Dreadwing Interrupters, they are just a plasma flamer squad, but they're breaching 4, like true plasma flamers. Terrifyingly good. A fantastic unit.
It's so many shots.
Yeah, template weapons, right? And then you get like a torrent on one of them. They have the Deathwing Companions. They are special, like command squad type thing, where they're 2 up armor, weapon skill 5. They all have Trenic Great Blades. And you can never, they're not characters, but you can never, like, they have like a bodyguard rule that they will always pick who takes the wound. You need with a sniper, you're trying to kill this model? No, this guy's gonna take the hit. Like,
yeah.
They ignore, yeah. Another one of, I would put in the contention or contender of best fighters in the game.
So real quick, going back to the Cenobium, do you think they were supposed to all be characters, or do you think that's a misprint?
I thought it was a misprint until the first FAQ came out and they didn't change it. I'm like, okay, it's clearly intended.
Well, I don't know about all that. Because I think there's a lot that the first FAQ missed.
Okay, well they're really expensive and they all have the same stats as a console. A captain.
Yeah, but basically, when they're all characters, they can cycle wounds so that none of them die. And I think that's terrifying. And I also don't really see why they have it and nobody else does. Well, very few have it.
Let me make it. I'm not saying I'm right. The argument would be like, this is the Dark Angels and they're all character knights. Like, they're all special to their own. Like, each one of these guys has to do a special thing. No, I know most legions have something like that. You know what? No. If the next FAQ came out and said, no, they're not meant to be characters, like, okay, I buy it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
No, I'm not going to be upset that goes away. Like, okay,
I
that's
personally don't think that's going to take enough away from them to knock them out of the top 5. Not at all. I don't think that's one of their like super amazing abilities, but I think it's definitely something that they probably don't need.
no
Or
neat.
probably,
I agree with that. I love that they do it for now, though. But
yeah.
there's actually a bigger problem, I think, with this book, other than that. So,
Okay.
the Deathwing Companions have a special shield that they can take.
Yeah, the Aegis.
Yeah, it gives the wielder a 5 of invuln.
Yeah.
And I want to point out that no, it doesn't matter for this part yet. So it gives a wielder 5 invuln, but you have 2 in the squad. They both can deploy the shields. They can't attack, but then everybody in the squad gets a 4 of invuln in melee.
Right.
Well, here's a problem with a buddy of mine, and no, not a problem, but sorry, here's a problem a buddy of mine pointed out. The Tyrannic Greatblade has a 2-handed special rule. 2-handed special rule says you may not gain additional attack for having 2 weapons. So he arms his entire squad of Deathwing Companions with the shield and the 2-handed Tyrannic Greatblade. I'm like, wait a second. Now they all have invulns, they don't have to deploy them, and they fight with Tyrannic Greatswords. I'm like, wait a second, that can't be right. Rules as written, he's right. Even going to Battlescribe, even Battlescribe allows you to do it.
Yeah, but at that point, aren't you just making really expensive Tartarus Terminators?
No, because it's we got initiative, and they're breaching 5 up, murder strike 5 up.
Well, yeah, they get all the fancy sword stuff, but like, aren't they just a 3 up, 5 up?
No, they'd be 2 up, 5 up.
2 up, 5 up.
Yeah.
And
yeah, weapon skill 5. And it's a 10-man squad. You can't get a weapon skill 5 on the Terminators on a bigger than 5-man squad.
That's the command squad.
No, command squads are capped at 5.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, there's no way. So this squad is one of the squads in the game that can get 10 models with 2 up armor and an invuln and weapon skill 5. There's not others can do it, but there's not that many that can.
You got to pay for the shields and all that if you do.
Yeah,
that?
the shields are going to be 10 points a model. The sword is 5 points a model.
I don't hate that.
You don't hate it? Okay. All right.
No.
I think this is a mistake and not intended. So I will never do a squad like that.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I seriously doubt that's how it was intended because it seems like these 2 dudes have the shields and that's their whole goal in life is to be a shield bearer, blah, blah, blah. But I also think there's other legions that can do stuff kind of close to that. So not many.
For special characters, we got 2 good ones. You got Horus Wayne, just a really good fighter. I'm going to talk about him. And Marduk Cedrus, just a good fighter. I don't want to talk about him. Except for he has this rule that he's so old, he tells stories at the beginning of the game. You can pick a unit, an army type like World Eaters or Mechanicum, where you pick your opponent's army. And then he tells stories about the last time Marduk fought them. And everybody who was within 6 inches of him at the start of the battle will get basically the rules of preferred enemy. So this guy, I've had my entire list gain preferred enemy for entire game because I've had this model on my table. This guy, I hate named characters for this reason. If you want to play competitively, I know this is not what this game is meant to be. This guy's an auto-include. He's so ridiculously good. Handing out preferred enemy? Like, there's not that many. There's like almost no. I think preferred enemy is like the only rerolls in this game.
Yeah, well, preferred enemy
and
shred. Yeah.
So this is my thing. Like, Dark Angels are at least S tier. So in S tier, right now we have Imperial Fists, Death Guard, and Dark Angels. Oh, and Hatred too, you're right. That's the first round of combat, but you're right. Are Dark Angels more powerful than Death Guard? Are they more powerful than Imperial Fists?
No.
So they're weaker than both of those?
I would say they're even with Death Guard.
Okay, I can accept that. I think they're a little bit stronger in Death Guard. I want to put them right in front of Death Guard because somebody has to be in front.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, you can't put them even. So, yes, I would be okay saying Imperial Fist, Dark Angel, Death Guard.
To keep things simply, I'm just going to go down I'm going to go to the second one in the Loyalist book because it's just easier that way.
Well, I have the Trader book if you'd rather me just jump to Imperial or Emperor's Children.
Go ahead. Who are we doing?
Okay.
Emperor's Children first?
Yeah, let's do Emperor. Let's keep the numbers. I'll do Dirty Traders. You do Loyalist Scum.
Hit me.
So let's see. Emperor's Children. Whenever they make a charge, as long as it's not disorderly, they are +1 initiative. And then any vehicle doing a defensive weapons shooting as a reaction gets +1 to hit. So I think the thing that a lot of people miss with the first part of Flawless Execution is the fact that Initiative 1 things become Initiative 2, which is such a huge bump. When everyone else's Power Axes and Thunderhammers are I1 and yours are I2, you're going to rock them.
It's so good.
It's so insanely good because now you have a vet squad, for example, that's all Power Axes, right? Or a command squad that's all Thunderhammers. And if they run into the exact clone, they're murdering them without a doubt. And it's so huge.
This is one of the things I was talking about with bikes earlier on. All the speed, you go bully the things that, like, typically you put unwieldy versus unwieldy, and you're going to lose each guys lose models. You get these guys. You said a vet squad, weapon skill 5.
Yeah.
I mean, a command squad with Thunderhammers on a Terminator squad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that Thunderhammer command squads are already terrifying. Now they're gonna swing before mine. Like, I'm gonna lose my squad before I get to swing. It's like, is it enough to carry a whole legion? No, but this is really strong.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very. So as a whole, I love what they've done with the Emperor's Children.
Same,
because they, and I'll say this for all the legions in 2.0, they have made the legions feel more legion-y. Like, they feel more like they are themselves, and specialize in their thing. So the idea of a power axe wielding Emperor Children going before everybody else, could totally believe it. The fact that they're going to mess with your weapon skill or be better than you in melee, totally believe
with like
that
narratively good reasons too. And I love what you just said, because one of the biggest criticisms I heard about Heresy at the beginning was things felt less individual, less specific to legions. They missed the negatives to the legions, which I get that, but this deep into the game, I'm like, no, I'm loving how different. I agree with you. Things do feel vastly different from one legion to the next. Well, not vastly, but more so than the first edition.
Yeah, exactly. So the +1 ballistic skill thing for defensive shooting, it's kind of cool. It's not going to win you a game.
I think it's more like how fast they're. Like, okay, you're charging, we got them jump on you.
Right.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. The perfect counter. This one I don't know off the top of my head, but I think it's. Oh yeah. So when someone declares a charge on you, you charge them instead.
Love it. I don't even know if that's good.
The most First Children-y thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I love it.
And it all comes down to, they're emphasizing that their reaction times and all of that is just better. And that's perfect.
Well, the thing about this too is if you're going to play a melee type army, you're going to get charged eventually.
Yep.
This gives you like, hey, I got up in your face, my whole army. I charged you, I whipped you out. Now I'm standing there. I have some threats to you.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fact that they can be like, I charge you, and now I get +1 initiative for doing it. Plus any other accoutrements that go off when I charge. Tight. Love it. So.
Well, you can cancel their charge.
Damon, I think you are correct. I think you do still have to do roll off, and there's the whole thing. But even just the opportunity to be like, I know you charge me, but I'm better than you. I love it. So. Any final notes on the reaction?
No.
Okay. So the warlord trait.
You're going to use it. I'll say this: you got one of the advanced reactions that you're going to use in most games, not every game, but most games.
Yeah. I don't know much about the warlord traits, just because I've only gotten a chance to play against like one Emperor's Children player, I think.
Wait a second. I'm gonna pause for a second because I want to take what I just said back.
Okay.
If I'm playing my Iron Warriors where I have no melee,
sure,
and I'm getting like manhandled by these guys. Eventually, you go, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take my Iron Words. I'm gonna charge you just to stop you from getting to this squad or whatever. But now I'm like, what's your advanced reaction? Maybe I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's one of the warlord traits that also prevents your opponent from ever charging you if they're not
Right,
really meant
because
for it.
if it wasn't Emperor's Children, I completely agree. Like, oh man, there's been plenty of times in games where I'm like, okay, they're going to charge me, but if I do it, I'll at least deny them the +1 attack.
Exactly. Exactly.
But
That's exactly
knowing that you can just be like, I'm still going to charge you. Either way, I'm getting charged. So, yeah, I would agree. Do you want to dive into warlord traits? I think
point out anything that stands out as overly interesting, but no, we can be here for 20 hours if we went over every little thing.
It's true. I mean, look, they're all melee great. I love the fact that they have a traitor and a loyalist and a neutral. I think that's cool. It's definitely a head scratcher in this book that like some legions have traitor and some legions have loyalist.
I think that's how they broke it down. The ones that all of the legions that were on the Isfan 5? No, what was the first attack? 5 or 3? 3 was first? So all the traitors that were Isfan 3 have loyalist stuff.
Yeah.
And then the loyalists that have distinct units that turn traitor and work with Horus have traitor stuff in the novels. So this is like, if the novels had something, then you're gonna see something in here, which is really good.
Yeah. We'll get into the Blood Angels having a traitor one later. That one doesn't make sense to me.
Yep,
but
so, because we're doing this live, I'm going to keep pointing out something. Because Lucian, I'm assuming he wasn't here the whole time. He said, you guys are being too soft on ratings. Too much is meshed in the middle. That's intentional. We believe that the spread of the game isn't this. It's this. So yes, there is a hierarchy of first, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way to 18th. But they're not like, it's not this far apart from 1 to 18. It's this far.
Yeah.
But,
and the other thing to keep in mind is Heresy is not a tournament game like 40K.
Correct.
Or even like Age of Sigmar. So
yeah,
if you love Emperor's Children and you love their fluff and you love doing experiments on your people and all of that kind of stuff, I don't care if this Legion sucks. I still want to see you play it because you're going to be passionate about it.
And one thing I like to point out too a lot for doing this for nearly a decade is we have world leaders in C tier. Just because the world leaders player in your gaming group dominates and wins every time, 100% of the time, doesn't mean world leaders are good. It just means he's better than you. So I got to point it out to people all the time. We have our own biases from our own games. Just because like I keep losing with my Legion doesn't mean my Legion's bad.
Well, and another thing too, and like this is so prevalent when I come visit at Mini Wargaming, is your meta is so different from my meta. And like if I were to go to California and play games, it's going to be so different there. So like your army may be S tier in your meta.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
But we're just going off generic, if everyone had the same meta, which, is a pipe dream. But yeah, so. Yeah.
Yep. No, most of us get that. And it's very easy to overlook it.
Mm-hmm. So Rights of War, I think they kept both the two that everyone loved from the previous edition. And I think they do exactly what they need to do. Maraskar is all about outsmarting and outflanking, which is great.
Yep.
And then, Third Company Elite is a little more down the road where they get a little more twisted. And now that they have surgical augments.
I love that. So I love the augments.
Same. And it's because before it was just like, cool, we made this one unit really good, insanely good. But the augments is very, mid heresy for them. And I love both of these Right of Wars. I think they're both good as
solid Rights of War. Like, yeah. I think most of them, most of the Rights of War are actually pretty well done, to be fair, through all these books.
Yeah. So Trey mentioned he wants to see the justification for the A tier, and I think we can get into that pretty soon as we get to the special units, because they all have the same rule. So the surgical augmentations, I'll just run through those real quick. So you can give anything that isn't unique a surgical for 20 points. And they have one of three choices. So they've got good old-fashioned Sonic Shriekers, which is when they charge or they are charged or they're locked in combat, you're -1 to hit them. That's so huge.
That's so good. And it gets even better with, we'll get to other units that make it even better, but that's so good.
So in a system where, like, if I'm weapon skill 5 and you're weapon skill 4, you now need a 5 to hit me. And I tell you, I bought Sonic Shriekers, now you need a 6.
I've been there.
In my mind, you're useless. You're not even worth fighting.
I think TB, just want to say thanks again for the Horus Heresy talk. Appreciate you, my dude.
Yeah. So I think that one's great. Obviously, if you're immune to fear, you're not going to hear that. But and then subsonic pulsar, they ignore the leadership and ballistic skill for night fighting. That's cool, but there's a lot of other ways to do it.
Yeah.
But it's still cool that they can do it. And then Sonic Lance, it's a strength 2 flamer with breaching 6 up. It's what Eidolon had before.
I have failed charges because of this.
For sure.
They've Overwatched. I failed the pitting Derek. I'm like, come on.
I think it's one of those things that, like, I'm going to read it off the page, and you're just like, meh. And then you see it happen, and you're like, oh shit. So yeah, I think those are all good. I personally think the Sonic Shrieker is better than anything else, but I'm a little biased. So, the Phoenix Spear finally got fixed.
Yeah, I still don't know if I like it, but
I like it because there's no points increase.
Yeah.
If it was 5 or 10 points like a lot of other weapons are, I would totally agree with you.
So it's +2 strength, AP3 to start.
Right. Murderous Strike, Reach, Breaching. So Murder Strike obviously is huge.
Yeah.
Breaching is huge. But
Murder Strike is even more valuable in 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the Reach is where the creme de la creme is. Because let's say you just take a sergeant of a tactical squad and you give him a power spear. Now he's initiative 5 when he's fighting another tactical sergeant, which could be huge because, if you get lucky and you get that 6, it doesn't matter if you have an apothecary, it doesn't matter if you have artificer armor, and I hit you at initiative 5. Sorry about your luck. The Rapier's cool. It's just it's a power sword with murderous strike instead of just reaching.
Yeah.
So, but it's free
because the point cost make it okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, moving on to their Centurion, the Phoenix Warden is really cool. It's super fluffy. Because I like to think of it as one of their Terminators that is a cut above all the rest. So it's a cool idea, especially for narrative and role playing aspects.
My problem with him is the exact same problem I have with the Dark Angel we already talked about. It's cool, but a chaplain's better. It's frustrating. I guess it's a criticism that chaplains are too good.
Yeah, so I would agree with you with one small exception. So the Phoenix Warden automatically gets an Iron Halo, and that's huge. Plus, their built-in abilities are pretty solid. So the whole backbone of the Legion, I think, is their skill unmatched. I think that's what really puts them into S tier for me, because they can do so many things that everyone else can. So for sacrificing one attack, they can either become +1 ballistic skill or make you hit them on 1 less. So if you're already having trouble hitting them because they're weapon skill 5 and your weapon skill 4, the ability for them to just be like, no, now you hit me on a 6. Or I'm going to hit you on a 2.
Well, that's the Phoenix Terminator squad have that rule. And that's what I think, that's a good point. Because that makes that, I concede you're right. That one actually is one of the 2 that's better than a chaplain. Because the Phoenix Terminators, if they want to not die, they're not going to die. And this guy can go give it to somebody. No, you're right. I agree with you. This can make an elite squad survive. Like veteran melee squad, you put him in there, probably better than a chaplain.
Right, or you give them to, like a despoiler squad, for example, right?
Yeah.
Someone just has an ungodly amount of attacks, and you say, okay, your weapon skill drops by 1, but now you all get +1 attack. Or now you all hit on 3s, or now you only get hit on 4s when you're fighting something else that's weapons.
Or using their reaction, like you're trying to charge me. Well, okay, I'm going to charge you. You don't get your +1 attack. I'll figure you -1 attack. I'm like, I'm winning that fight.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
I think the versatility of that is really what puts
I think you're right. I think you convinced me for 8 here, probably, on that. We haven't even got to the other stuff.
Yeah. So, the big man himself, Snake Boy, or future Snake Boy. Sorry, spoilers.
Why is he one of the bulkiest guys in the Primarchs?
I don't know. I don't think he should be.
He's got to be a misprint, right?
He doesn't have snake body yet, so I don't know why he's so bulky.
He has average stats, except for his weapon skill 8 and initiative 8.
Right. And we'll get into why the initiative is so good, but people probably already know where that's coming from.
His personality, his ego, all the reasons.
Initiative equal ego. Yeah.
Oh, that does make sense.
Yeah. You're not wrong. So me personally, I think one of the biggest things that all Primarchs do is their sire ability. Like if I just had to rank Primarchs just solely, I would rank them mostly off of their sire ability, because that's what you're doing for my entire legion. The other 2,500 points that showed up other than this guy. So I think that's a really huge thing. So when you have a really good one, it makes a huge difference. So his, for example, everyone can use his leadership. So essentially, if you can see him, you're leadership 10. Huge. And you get +1 to calculate who won combat. For a melee-based game, or a melee-based army, it's going to be great. And especially tied in with stuff like living icons, where they're also adding it to it. Because it specifically states that they stack with Fulgrim's ability. So if I tie, but I have both of these abilities, I win by 2. And now you have to deal with my ridiculous initiative.
Well, I'm gonna make a dumb argument, but
Sure.
It does make sense. So he's not the greatest for fighting another Primarch. But if he's fighting anything else in the game, like he's gonna win by a lot. Now,
sure.
The reason why it's a dumb argument is like every Primarch kind of does that. He just does it better.
Yeah. Well, and I personally think that there's very few Primarchs that have a 3-up invuln in any situation.
I think
and the fact
3?
that one of them
is
super good.
Oh, 4.
Now, the Sublime Swordsman has always been my favorite rule of his, and it's just screams, I'm so much better than you, which is I'm faster than you, and for every point I'm faster than you, I get an attack.
I mean, that's why he's like, he just kills, like he's constantly being challenged. Like, oh, Sergeant has a challenge, so I don't lose 10 guys. I'm going to lose the combat by 12.
Right.
But he didn't kill 12 guys. Oh, wait, does he get capped out at 10 attacks?
I don't think
so. Is that a rule in this game?
No, not anymore. Because you go to 12 strength.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah, I think Fulgrim and Korax is another example that if they're fighting another Primarch, they're good. But if they've been unleashed on something in power armor,
they're great.
It's not going to exist. Yeah. It's going to be a pink mist.
Yeah.
So, and then...
Well, Fulgrim, like here's how I kind of rate fighting abilities of units, or these Primarchs.
Yeah.
Fulgrim, I could risk putting into a unit of 5 Terminators with Thunderhammers, because I mean, if they survive, they're going to do work back to Fulgrim because they're brutal. But with his wave attacks, he's a reasonable chance of them filling their 4 invuln. Like he does kill more of them than the average Primarch.
Right. So let's say he's fighting a command squad, right? Let's just use that as an example.
Yep.
So command squad is weapon skill 5, which unfortunately is surprisingly bad for them. So he is going to be hitting them on 3s. He's going to be wounding them on 3s.
2s. He's not the layer blade, no?
Oh, sorry. Wounding on 2s.
He's a flesh bane.
Yeah, so he's hitting on 2s. He's killing on 2s. And he's going to get, because of the duelist, well, that's only if he's in a challenge. But he's going to be what, 10 attacks?
Yeah.
11 if you were dumb enough to let him charge you.
Yeah.
That's why it's going to be a pink mist. You may have a 4-up invuln, but you're going to fail eventually.
Well, I'd be nervous about it because like you can spike 4s and like hold up a Primarch for a turn or two, but these guys have the best chance of burning through. No, I like him. I like him. He's I don't like the model, unfortunately. He needs an update, but
when I had one, I put a helmet on him.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Great. But yeah, and then Firebrand, still a joke. Never going to take it. I see why he was seduced by the Blade of Lear. Yep. So Phoenix Terminators, the unit that I wanted to be good, all of first edition, because they're some of the most beautiful models that Forge Worlds made for Horus Heresy, in my opinion.
I think, yeah, maybe the most beautiful of all the Terminators. Like they are, I love these models, but
absolutely,
they were in the first book, the first Horus Heresy book. They never had good rules.
Yeah.
Now they're scary. And now I like everything about them. They are not murder bots, but they can kill. But more importantly, they can stop you from killing them.
Right, and that's the thing that annoyed me about first edition, where they were supposed to be Fulgrim's bodyguards, but they didn't protect shit. They got to hit somebody else on a 3, but they only had a 5-up invuln. But now they have a skill unmatched, and their weapon skill 5, and with the changes for that. So they can also do that. You only hit me on a 6, which if you're trying to protect somebody, done. You completed your job. Your check's in the mail. But yeah, I love them. I think the 200 points is great. Yeah, no notes.
Yeah, solid unit.
Yep. The Palatine Blade. They're really good unless you're playing against an opponent who drop pods a whole bunch of plasma guns. Yes, I'm still bitter about that, Steve.
Yeah, no, I get you. Also, they can't have to they can't take jump packs anymore. I know you can with the PDF, but we've disallowed that, so they can't take. And everybody I ever played as Emperor's Children have had 10 Palatine Blade with jump packs and what's his face, Eidolon.
Yep.
Everybody.
Yeah, and that's because they're super good, and those two units go really well together. So,
can you take 10 Phoenix Guards a retinue?
What's that? These can't be a retinue, but the Phoenix.
No, but the Phoenix Guard can. But they're not chosen warrior.
Correct, they are not.
So no 10 chosen warrior.
Oh, they're not chosen warrior, but they're all characters. I just realized that.
What?
Yep.
What, these are characters as well?
All right, so they got way better.
So look, that's definitely intended that the Knights and the Phoenix 100% intended, guys.
All right, now I can't take that from you, Snoopy.
Okay, hold on. Is the fact that they're characters enough to maybe bump them to S or not? We're not bumping them up for one thing.
Well, we'll finish, right? Because those Terminators are fantastic. But like, yeah. So I mean, the skill unmatch is so good in this, and the fact that the Palatine Blades obviously have it on top of already being weapon skill 5.
Yeah,
absolute beauty. And the fact that they can all take spears for 5 points if you wanted to model them like that.
I think I would.
What?
I would take the spears. I would pay the 5 points to that.
Yeah. Well, previously what I did is I took a 10-man and only like 4 or 5 of them had spears because it was expensive. But at 5 points apiece, I'd give them all a spear.
Yeah.
Because now they're initiative 5. And that's so much better. But yeah, I think they're a solid unit. The fact that they're all Artificer armor, you don't have to pay for it anymore, is huge. Would love it if there's a way to give them an invul.
I'm gonna make them too good.
Right. Like, put a character with them or something that gives them like a 5 or a 6. But yeah.
We're talking about the not to go back, but the companions, the Deathwing companions, that whole combo gives everybody an invul. And they have
Right.
2 up armor, and they're like good episode 5. It's like, yeah, that's why it's not intended, but not to pull back.
Yeah. But no, they're worth comparing for sure. Also, yeah. I love the fact that they still have counterattack.
I know. I was gonna point that out.
So good for them. But yeah, let's move on to everyone's favorite Emperor's Children, the Cacophony.
I know how to say cacophony, but only ever read it as cacophony.
I hate you.
I know. It drives me nuts.
Adult literacy classes are drastically underfunded.
But
just saying.
But also, like, these things, not these ones, but the cacophony existed like when I was 12, and I read it the first time, not heard it the first time. So it's cacophony.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fearless.
So,
everything else, fearless. Just give them fearless.
Right. They're fearless, which is amazing. Now, their weapon changed a lot. It's not as scary, in my opinion, but it's a lot more reliable.
Hold on a second. It is basically an old Volkite with pinning.
Yep. And
Shell Shock 1 pinning.
But it also gets hot.
Yeah, I can't stand that. Not because it gets hot is bad. It's because I have to roll one at a time.
Yeah, that's super annoying.
If my point ever wanted to bring in a 10-man squad of these guys and wanted to roll all of them together and then just put the gets hot wounds on the model, I don't even do that. I don't even care because it's very frustrating to have to roll these guys one at a time because it gets hot. Like,
yeah. In my opinion, if you're going to bring 10 of these, bring a D10 so we can figure out who's going to take the hot wound out.
Agreed. That's the one downside. I actually think these guys are 150 points for 5. I think they're an auto include. Because, in my opinion, when you play Horus Heresy 2nd Edition, you want melee, you want things that sit back and shoot, you want mobility, you need everything, and these do the sit back and shoot and try to pin drop, I think, pretty well.
Right. And once you get into the 3rd Legion, the fact that they become troops, now you have fearless troops. They're not scoring, but
I like it.
Right.
I like it.
I love them. And then they have a whole bunch of upgrades, hilariously, that no one's ever going to take.
Let's be clear, they can only be traitors.
Yeah, that is true. So Big Boy Eidolon, Thunderhammer Master Supreme. First off, I love the fact that they finally named his weapons.
Yeah.
I love that they put that effort in, and they're not just like, it's a Thunderhammer. So that's pretty rad.
Is this Thunderhammer still... No, it's unwieldy now.
It's always been unwieldy. So it's the Thunderous Charge. So when he charges, it loses unwieldy.
Oh, gotcha. Is that how it worked in 1st edition? I thought he was always only when he charged? Okay.
Yep. But now Thunderhammers are so much better because now it's mastercrafted before it wasn't. And it's brutal too. And we already talked about how good brutal is. Yep. Death Scream is exactly the same as it used to be, which is cool. And then I believe his Warlord trait is pretty amazing, if I'm not mistaken. At the beginning of the battle, once all players have been deployed...
+1 to hit.
+1 to hit. Oh, yeah, 1 enemy HQ or Primarch. So for a guy that's weapon skill 6, it means he's hitting another Praetor on a 3.
Yeah. And you can get +1 to wound. Not that you're going to need it with the strength 8, but...
Right. I would have loved it if he had skill unmatched, because he's also a great dueler. Sure. But he also is already 215 points. But I think he's great. He's still one of my favorites, character-wise. So
that's in context of 1st edition, that's not a lot of points, but in context of 2nd edition, that's on the upper end for a character. That's on the high end for a character.
You don't want to do a deep dive into all the named characters, right?
No, only there's something worth, like, this guy changes how the army plays or whatever as a whole. Yeah. Because Tall Service, badass model, but...
Right. So Saul Tarvitz, in a nutshell, he's a mini Praetor.
I mean, Lucius is here too, but here's my case for bringing them down 2 notches.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm going to make a case for D tier.
Whoa.
They had the opportunity
Okay.
to put in the greatest character in all of the Heresy in this book. And they did not do that.
And who's that, Steve?
Well, Frenchie, have you heard the story of Rylan or the Dreadnought?
Yeah, I have.
Why was he not? That was the biggest disappointment.
Isn't he in the PDF? Can't you just
is he really?
deal with him?
He's not allowed.
No. Okay. Yeah, they fixed that. You just don't want to acknowledge it because he didn't get a model.
Fair enough.
He doesn't deserve book.
All right, so with everything we discussed, we have these guys in A tier. I think they sit there solidly. You can make a case for S tier, but I don't think they're going to make it there. I think they're A tier. I think I got it right.
S tier is good, but they don't really bring anything to shooting. The company are great.
Okay, hold on. I gotta make an argument for S tier.
Okay.
8 Initiative 2 Thunderhammers. Is that enough to push them into S tier?
Not just Thunderhammers. Anything unwieldy.
Power axes, power fists for sure.
Power fists and power axes.
Like even though you're right, somebody said low end of S tier.
Yeah, I 110% agree.
We're gonna put them in S tier.
Last in the S. I agree.
Okay, you know what? I like it. I want to move over to S tier. We moved
just the
one
ability to make anybody else look like a chump in melee and go, you only hit me on a 6.
Steve's asking why we ignore in the PDS. I'll have to remind, because we've been doing this for a while. I'll remind every now and then. A bunch of the units in the PDF are broken, overpowered, or weren't playtested, or the point costs are just terribly wrong. So instead of like you can use this one, you can't use this one, everybody kind of whitewashes them all out because they were never really playtested to the extent the rest of the thing is. You have them all because you converted it up from first edition. Here rules for second edition, but the game as a whole is these books. Okay, I love what we did. So we go on to the next one. Is it White Scars? Wait, Iron Warriors are next.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you do them, even though they're a traitor.
Sure. Okay, Iron Warriors. While I do think they are very strong, not as strong. Like, I think people think they are like super top tier, and like I do. Like you can't make an argument for S tier for these guys. Well, I guess you could make an argument for anything.
Sure, but
yeah. So, and again, I have to remember, like, I'm trying not to be biased, right? My two main factions, Iron Warriors, Dark Angels. I put Dark Angels in S tier right away. Like, I'm not going to argue it. Like, that they belong there. I don't believe Iron Warriors don't belong anywhere past B tier, and I believe we have them sitting in A tier. I'm going to talk them down, but maybe I'll start talking about them, and then I love them so much. So, sure. Their Legion rule, Rack and Ruin. They get +1 strength when attacking vehicles, dreadnoughts, and automatas. It's not a bad rule at all. It's better than some other legions. It's actually pretty good. And as Frenchie pointed out before, which something I haven't really considered, that's a legion rule that just benefits just the regular stuff in the army as well.
Right, because that kind of unlocks new ways of thinking. So, for example, you now have bolters that can actually glance the front of a rhino, which I get it. That's not the end of it. But, like, that's just an example of... Right. It's still good, but, like, it now introduces this different way of thinking.
Yeah.
You know, because now you have strength 8 plasma guns and you have strength 9 melta. So it doesn't care if it's flare shielded anymore. It can still glance it,
so,
you know.
So who said it? Drank later pointed out something else. I think he's dead on right. I just realized it right now. Low skill threshold to pick him up. I think if you're very inexperienced in the game, you're playing, this is a very good Legion to play with. Because it just play the basic rules and it'll just help you. I feel like if I'm playing against the Iron Warriors, I'm going to mitigate their rules pretty well. Like I'm never going to be worried about playing against Iron Warriors.
Yeah. Now I will say, as someone who runs events, we don't need more Iron Warrior players.
Yeah, they're also really popular. That's fair too.
Yeah, but I also understand why. They're a great paint scheme. They're a lot of fun to do,
I love them.
You can make just about any unit decent.
So their advanced reaction is Bitter Fury. It's a return fire, but everybody returning fire gets +1 shot, but they also gets hot rule. So it's just a better return fire. Return fire is like the best reaction, right? It's just a better one like that. So it's a good advanced reaction, and you're going to use it damn near 100% of the time. Now, sometimes I like to remind opponent I have it, and like, they're trying to pick where their shots are going, and I never use it because I'm always saving it as a threat. And then like, oh, it's turn 4. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll Bitter Fury this return fire because like your shooting threats are dead now. But it's a really good advanced reaction.
So it's really good. And one thing that I'll throw in here too, Bitter Fury is hands down one of the fluffiest reactions for any Legion.
Yeah.
Because that Perturabo is telling them to shoot again, and I don't care if you die, is so them. It's insane.
I love it. I love everything with the Iron Warriors, to be honest with
you. Yeah.
Well, maybe not their Warlord traits. I can't complain because they have probably the best one in the game. So two of them, one of them is bad. You gain Fearless, but you have to charge the closest thing and like return fire. It's just bad. It takes away your control of your army, which is bad.
Yeah.
There's the one where you pick a piece of terrain in your opponent's territory and just like -1 to the cover save from it. It's not bad. But the best one, Tile of the Satra, the Warlord unit gets a free reaction whenever they're shot at. They must return fire whenever they're shot at. But when they do so, everybody gets +1 attack.
Okay.
It's so freaking good. You can have and gets hot. So you have a 10-man last cannon squad with 2 shots per last cannon, but gets hot.
So
it's whatever, right? It doubles the efficiency of a squad. Well, sorry, doubles the efficiency of a squad with 1 shot. Now they must return fire for free, or whatever they're shot at. So the way to get around that is like you have a Rhino to shoot a bolt gun at them, and now you have to worry about them returning fire, and you put that squad down. But then hopefully your Warlord trait walks out of that dead unit or mostly dead unit and joins another squad. It's really powerful. But your opponent I've been able to mitigate it every time I've been playing against it. But I think it's very powerful and I like it.
Right, but you also have to know that Rite of War and this Legion well enough to be like, this is how to stop you from doing
it. The way I like it the most is a veteran squad, 10 of them with Nemesis bolt rifles. And now they have 2 shots per guy. With if I'm targeting a dreadnought or a vehicle, the sniper rifle can kill a Land Raider because it's strength 5, strength 6 in the hands of the Iron Warrior against the Land Raider, rending on a 5+, and 2 shots per. It's enough to pen a Land Raider. Armor 14. It can kill anything in the game.
Yeah.
So it
would be a slug, but yes, it could.
Yeah, no, I have killed Land Raider. I've killed Spartans with these things.
Well, yeah, when you have 20 shots, it's pretty easy to do.
20, it's so good. And like when it's in the sniper squad, nobody wants, like, even the Rhino's guaranteed dead. Like nobody wants to.
Oh, for sure.
You put a Warsmith nearby to give them Sunder. Now you're re-rolling all those wounds. Like Iron Warrior shooting has a lot of good combos in this game. Rites of War. We have one of the best. Hammer of Olympia. So you lose Fury of the Legion on your tactical squads, but you gain Fury of Olympia instead. So you get +1 shot to all your bolt guns. Now, you have Shrapnel Shell, special ammunition, which will reduce your range from 24 to 18, but give you additional shot. 18. Rapid fire is 9, but additional shot. So you're always firing 2 shots, 3 shots when you're within 9 inches. And the Red War also has reroll ones to hit with bolt weapon or shrapnel weapons. So 2 to 3 shots per tactical marine. Rerolling 1s to hit. Maybe there's a tech marine in there, giving them +1 to hit. So hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, and they're pinning. Like it's just combos. Iron Warriors, combos.
Right, and going back to my original thoughts on Iron Warriors, here's an Iron Warriors rule making tacticals infinitely better. Yeah. And I love it.
So, Iron Fire, I'm not gonna talk about it. I talked about shrapnel weapons. So you have take your bolt weapons, reduce some inches off the range, and gain pinning. Solid trade, very good weapons. They also have the graviton maces. They're just power maces without the strength. Like haywire maces. I mean, if you're going up against vehicles and dreadnoughts, it'll do okay. But nobody brings vehicles, and you don't want to be in melee with the dreadnought. So I just don't see the value to those special weapons. But that's not really a criticism on them. Yeah. Their Primarch, I think, the best Primarch in the lore, obviously.
Relax there, Chief. But before you continue.
Oh, yeah.
So Iron Fire may not be a great Rite of War, but boy howdy does it sum up exactly what, in the fluff, the Iron Warriors do. Just keep lobbing,
Yeah.
and I don't care if you can
the
potentially
lore
get
of the Ironfire is they would mass infantry
yeah,
and march at the enemy while holding down the trigger, and they would use their own artillery to blast just in front of them as a shield as they advance up the field. And
yeah.
plenty of these Rights of War are very narrative. Like every Right of War so far we have is very narrative. Like the people who wrote these Rights of War, wrote these books, are knowledgeable about the lore. I love it. I love
And I
it.
love it too. And even like our local Iron Warrior player in first edition, he kind of played them exactly like they should be played. He brought 2 20-man blocks of tacticals with 3 Medusas behind them.
That's why.
And that was like his auto include. And I was like, Jesus. Well, that's them.
Ironfire was broken in first edition. It was way, especially because of boss decks, but broken. But now it's whatever. It's fine. You can play it. It's very thematic. It's like it's not gonna.
Yeah.
It's not gonna push them up or down a tier.
True.
Same as their equipment. Well, the shrapnel weapons are quite good. But Perturabo, okay, we have you always have the hammer. You always have the hammer, but you have a Primarch with 6 shots with his 30-inch range guns that he just picks 6 mauls in a unit and just removes them. Strength 6 AP3. So he's the kill of Vixillas and Augury Scanners. He does a very good job of removing those. His weapon skill's down to 7, which it should have been. It never should have been 8 like it was in first edition. And his hammer, strength 12, AP1, extra shock 3, brutal 2. Like it's a solid weapon with a 3-up invulnerable save Primarch. Problem is
lost to brutal by changing hands.
Say again?
I love the fact that it lost 1 point of brutal when it changed hands.
Yeah, no, it should. Well, because it actually is desperate. It is a little bit damaged.
Yeah. But I think
blind.
one of the things that's so good about his gun is the fact that he's Primarch, so he can pick who he's shooting, but it's AP3 and pinning. So all you have to do is pick out one person in power armor, and they're making a pinning check.
With extra shock 1, I find that rarely a case. It rarely comes up. I don't know why the pinning on that weapon really matters to me, because I'm only shooting at things I'm going to charge, and I'm going to unpin them anyway. Maybe not always.
Just sounds like you need to run to spoilers, because they get. Well, I think they get bonuses if they're pinned.
Well, okay. So I always run him with his robots, but I'll get to them in a second, I guess.
Yeah.
When he's on the table, you roll an additional die for morale checks in the shooting phase and pinning checks. This army wants to outshoot you, and then he buffs your army defensively from your opponent's shooting. Like it works. He works very well with the play style of his army. Now there is a thing I want to talk about him negatively in a second, but I have to talk about. They're next. Iron Circle first. So Perturabo is a bitter man who didn't like his own bodyguard, didn't trust them, so he built 8 robot friends. They're called the Iron Circle. They're automatas that run around with him up to 7. These things have a massive point cut and a stat boost from what they were. They were so bad before, and unfortunately, they're a little bit of a feel bad now. One, this doesn't matter, but they clearly have 2 bolt cans on their shoulder, but they only have 1. It's not even twin linked. The only downside to this, and it goes back to Perturabo, is when he joins them, because they can be his retinue squad, he cannot react, and it's such a downgrade. Because you cannot react while having automata in your unit. And this whole game is about reactions. And when your Primarch can't advance, he doesn't want to fall back anyway, but he can never advance after movement. He can never return fire. He can't hold the line. Like, he can't do any of those things. It does suck, but I guess he has a very unique unit, so I'm not going to say, like, he should be able to. So there's that bit of a downside.
I mean, he's a Primarch, so he can't shroud anyway, and I don't... Can he even hold the ground?
Yeah, you can. He's automatically passed the test.
Oh, okay.
But like returning fire and advancing are the 2 I want the most.
So I get what you're saying, but I think there's one big plus that I would make that exchange for every time. So if you put any Primarch with their bodyguard unit, now they're majority toughness 4. His is majority toughness 7.
Yes. But if you want to avoid him, you're going to avoid him.
Yeah. But let's be honest, you can avoid him forever.
I've had plenty of games, even in second edition, where it's like, okay, well, Perturbo's not going to fight because he can't leave his robots. And he can't run because the robots are heavy. Wait, is he heavy? No, he's not heavy. So the robots are heavy. He can't run. He can't advance. Like he's just too easy to avoid. But not like their army's still very very strong. Their last unit is the Tyrant Siege Terminator Squad. I love them and hate them so much. They are very good. They could be a little bit better, but if they were, it might be too good. So we have Terminators in cataphractic armor with Cyclone missile launchers on their head. Now that sounds fantastic. They're not that expensive. These missile launchers can be heavy 2, strength 8, AP3, or heavy 4, strength 4, AP6 pinning. I have never once yet been in a situation where mathematically that was a shot worth firing. Not once.
Right. Yep.
Oh, but you also have the Skyfire too. So you have more expensive Terminators that are just better at shooting. Worth it. They have an Omniscope, which basically gives them it allows them to ignore the effects of night fighting, not night vision. So if you have night vision, people can't shroud you, can't take cover. But these guys ignore the effects of night fighting, but you can shroud against them because the way it's worded. So it's a little annoying that way, but like whatever, they don't need a buff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the only time I'm going to bring up the Forbidden PDF. How does this make you feel knowing that the full Mataras have better missiles?
Yeah, well, full Mataras are one of the reasons why that PDF isn't disallowed. Like full Mataras and Dominators are probably the full Mataras, Dominators, and Sun Eaters probably the 3 biggest offenders in that book.
Yeah, the fact that everyone lost their AP2 shooting and they're like, oh yeah, here's AP2 missiles.
Full Mataras for sure. And Dominators. Don't forget Red News cost towards the... Don't forget that Red News count towards... Yeah, I know. That's a rule that I'm probably going to ignore. No, but like, so tell me how you feel about this. Like, if we're going to do a tournament, obviously we're going to ignore it. I'm doing a battle report. If I'm going to bring Puerto Rabo and his Brobot friends, technically you can't do that anymore because of points. But like, I'm nerfing Puerto Rabo by bringing them because it's narrative. You're going to allow me to do it. Like, no, nobody's going to say no.
While making him toughness 7.
But they're tough. The 3 of Armor Save contemptors with like heavy bolters for shooting.
Okay. So where are they at on the list?
I want to drag them down to B. Do they have to stay in A?
So here's the thing.
Yeah, they got to stay in A.
They buff so many things in the army just for showing up.
The reason why I want to pull them out of A, and this is my last argument, but I think you guys, if you disagree, I concede. They don't have the melee punch or the mobility when I think this game needs mobility, melee, and shooting. Now they do one of them very well. And then you know what? Is it enough to offset the other 2? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because they're shooting
keep them in
their
A.
heavy weapon shooting is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I can. You're right. We'll keep them in A. Now, where in A? You know what? Are they the first one we're leaving in A?
Yeah.
So they're the first one we're leaving in A. So we're going to put them at the very top for now, and then see who drives above them.
Just down. Yep.
Okay.
All right. If you want to start White Scars, I'm running a little boys room. I'll be right back.
Yeah, actually, we'll do a quick 30-second break. I have to do the same thing.
Cool.
We'll be right back, everybody. What was that for timing?
I'm reading chat. Make sure
Have
they
a pillow
didn't
on my
point out
shirt?
I missed. What did they rate Perturabo as?
We definitely got to do one where we do the Primarchs as well.
Yeah,
We're 2 hours in and we barely started, so.
It's true. Yeah, we're on 4th Legion, or 3rd Legion out of 18.
Boom, it's the scars. All right. White scars.
Yeah, this is the one you're going to have to sell me on the most.
Yes, I agree. My initial thoughts on them are they're bottom tier. They're top, in my opinion. I think they're top tier. I think with my greater understanding of the game that I've accumulated over the time, like not greater than everybody else. I mean, like I understand the game better than I did with my first opinions on them. I think this is the finesse army. The bike rules suck. I completely disagree, but I'll get to that. So White Scars, +1 movement characteristics across the board.
Huge.
So huge. So your basic Marines +1 charge now. +1 move.
Right.
+1 charge.
And I think that's the creme de la creme.
Yeah, it's so good.
Inches instead of 7. Okay, that's cool. But the fact that they're all +1 charge.
That's right, Drink. That's another thing too. Bikes are pinning. There's a bunch of things bikes gain that where the guys have. Okay, so advanced reaction. I think one of the best in the game.
Okay.
It's a movement phase reaction.
Okay.
After any fixture move, all of your units within 12 can make a full move.
Pretty huge.
Not closer, not away, a full move. It is a turn off your movement, turn off one of your turns potentiality movement. Everything you had a line of sight. Or one unit moves, a bunch of pleb units jump on forward and block. Like moving on your opponent's turn, huge. I think one of the best fights in the game. Now it's not for everybody because the advantages of it aren't obvious. It isn't a defensive one. It isn't an offensive one. It is a movement one. I think it's the most powerful phase of the game. But we've discussed this 1,000 times in the past.
And it's a super fluffy. Love it for them.
Tabe, if bikes were T5, they would be game-breakingly broken, and we'd all only bring them, and nobody would want to use them or play the game.
Think if it was T4 with Battle Hardened 1.
That's what they used to be back in the day, or effectively.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're T5, but instant death was reverse. T5 with instant death was the equivalent of 4.
Yeah.
So it was reverse. But I don't think they need those. I think they're fun. But I'll make a case.
Yeah.
Warlord traits. They have a trader one. You have to be doesn't matter. It's nothing. Warlord traits not worth talking about really, but there's one warlord trait that gives you 4 invuln for your bikes for being your captain of the bike. It doesn't matter. So we have 2 really cool rights of war. I'll do the Stygian Mason one first. Basically, I think you can't have your Primarch. It's narratively a bunch of White Scars went trader, but went back to Khan. She's like, you gotta redeem yourselves. Go over there and die.
Yeah, they're Death Seekers.
Yeah. So the army of Fearless and Feel No Pain. Is it Fearless, Feel No Pain?
I don't know.
I gotta check the rule on the squad that has it. It's the Eben Keshig. I think it's Feel No Pain and Stubborn.
That sounds right.
Okay, so they don't gain Stubborn. They gain a 5 Feel No Pain and Fearless when they charge. Pretty cool. Okay. I like it. Like I'm not going to base all the rules off of that, obviously. The other one, the Trigoran Brotherhood, it's just Sky Hunters and what are the other ones called? Outriders become troop choices, and like some of them can become scoring.
Oh, TPOT brought up a good point in Mazan. I guess Slay the Warlord doesn't give.
That's right.
Doesn't have your warlords on the trade.
Yeah, because they're never worth. They're supposed to die. They're never worth anything. Yeah, it's actually. I think it's pretty good. That's not how I would build my list off of. I would build off of the Trigoran Brotherhood though.
Well, yeah, but considering there's 2 legions with 2 very good rights of war that are all about headhunting, the fact that you can just be like,
oh, absolutely,
that's great.
I'm gonna downplay things that I'm not gonna use to argue that this is a good legion. But
sure.
I see what you're
Sure.
saying. So you have
Yeah.
an army of all bikes, and they're scoring. If you want to do pure bikes, you can do it. Um, yeah, you need no tax of troops, whatever like that.
Right. Right.
The special jet bike. Now we're talking about what we're talking about. Power glaive, strength. It's a strength plus 1 AP3, breaching 5 up. It's a decent weapon.
Yeah.
I like breaching.
Yep.
Cyberhawk. They have a special Psyker console upgrade. I'd use it. It's not going to make me talk up the Legion, but I will get to the things that I actually really like about this Legion.
I love
I
the
think
Storm
bikes
Shadow.
die way too easy to be worth it. I'm going to make an argument why that's very, very wrong. But okay, we got Khan. I think he's actually one of the best Primarchs.
Okay.
Because he has hit and run. You're not pinning him down. He's gonna do work and get things done when he needs it. You like hit and run is probably the most powerful Primarch. Brutal's up there, but hit and run I think is even more powerful than Brutal on a Primarch. So if you're gonna pin me down with 20 tactical Marines because you're able to make a long bomb charge, or whatever, and there's a chaplain in there who's far enough back that I can't challenge out, and you're stubborn 10, like you're holding me for turn. No, like this Primarch's gonna get away and do work. That right there,
It's definitely good.
so good. And then you can give him a 18-inch move. Like this guy, like if I gotta worry about that 10 last cannon squad, this guy's gonna charge him. Whole fatal line of sight. But I mean, what's his invuln? He'll have a 3-up invuln in the is Overwatch in the assault phase?
Yeah.
Because he has a 4-up invuln, but in the movement phase and assault phase is a 3-up invuln. So he'll have 3-up invuln in Overwatch. He can tank all those last cannons if he needs to do Overwatch. Okay, so one of the best Primarchs, in my opinion, but he's a little different from everybody. Only weapon skill 7, initiative 8. His weapon is going to be strength 7, 8, 9 on the charge. It's a fierce charge too. Strength 7 base, 9 on the charge. Enough to do instant death on Terminators. Murder strike 5 up, mastercrafted dual siege, all that kind of stuff. But if he doesn't wipe you out in the first round, he holds for one more round, and then on your turn, he hit right out of there and gets back to his strength 9 again. So even doing a Primarch on Primarch, and there's only 2 guys left, you charge, do some work, you take his charge back, you hit and run away, you shoot him, you charge back in. Like hit and run is Khan's best ability. So I love that. What does he do? He gives Furious Charge to White Scars.
Okay.
So now there's many ways of using that, but he gives Furious Charge to White Scars.
Yeah.
I need to talk a little bit about Golden Kesher because this is what I'm not sold on. I bet if I polled the audience, it'll be split 50-50, and everybody's gonna be like, I'm right and you're wrong. What is your take on the Kontos Power Lance? If somebody holds the line, can you use the Kontos Power Lance? Without fail, every time somebody brings it up, the audience is split. Yes, you can. No, you can't. And they both go, here's the rules as written proof. And I'm like, what's the rule? This needs to be addressed. Because I think I know the answer, but it doesn't matter what I say. There's no people that think the opposite version. So
right.
Can the Kontos Power Lance be used on the charge with somebody holding the line?
So in my meta, we've deemed it as they get the shaft when someone holds the line.
So I am, when the FAQ comes out, I am 100% confident. Not that I'm happy not to use the Ebon Keshig, or the Golden Keshig, but I have a different argument from them altogether if you ignore the lance. I think you're going to be able to use the lance when somebody holds the line. You just aren't going to get the sudden strike 4.
Sure, and I would love for that to be the case.
I think that's the case. Somebody brought it was Luca went point by point like, oh damn, Luke, you were right. He convinced me. Like he's like, you can use the Kontos Lance on the charge. However, I will never do it because the audience will get pissed off, because half of them are going to get pissed off until it's addressed. Because I'm not going to say 1000% this is right. This is the breakdown. So I don't know what the intent is here.
Yeah, but the fact that like an entire community is like, well, we're never going to use that because of something that could happen, sucks for the entire army.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like, if you're running an all bike army, obviously you're going to want to run your fancy bikes. So I would love for them to fix that.
Okay, however, there is another way of looking at the Golden Keshig. Forget the lance altogether. They're not. So I'm doing the math in this game. So I had this wrten down before. Is it 40? So So you take 5-man cataphractic, a 5-man Tartarus Terminator squad
Okay.
with power weapons. I know you
Yep.
wouldn't with White Scars, but if you did, you can just take 5 Golden Keshig with power weapons for marginally a few more points, and you gain 15-inch move and lose your 5 of invul. Stat wise, otherwise the same.
Losing your 5 of invul is pretty huge, though.
Yeah, but I mean, with Furious Charge, Hammer of Wrath too, a lot of firepower, and that mobility, I think you can argue away the invuln. But it's not. I'm not going to make that argument. This is not my argument for White Scars. I actually think the Golden Keshig are the weakest part of White Scars. I'm not like my White Scars list. I'm going to put Golden Keshig in it. I don't care if they're there. They don't have the purpose for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I think they have their uses beyond the lances.
Also, just using the models as like an on-bike command squad would be tight.
Them going out and just attacking heavy weapon squads, like I think they have plenty of uses. The downside of the Golden Keshig is they're heavy and they can't advance and take advantage use of the free shouting whenever bikes advance.
Yep.
They should be able to have that. I don't know why they don't. Ebon Keshig, another unit that I think is really good, but I'm not going to make a contact for argument for why this makes them good. But Ebon Keshig are just Tartarus Terminators with movement 8, and feel no pain and stubborn, and they never give up scoring. They can never be scoring, and they never give up points. There's a solid Terminator unit, but I don't feel like they really work with the playstyle I want to play with White Scars. But you take this unit and put it in any other Marine army, like I'd love to have this unit. I love this unit.
Yeah,
not the playstyle I want to use. Then again, having them running around 12 inches a turn until they're ready to charge isn't terrible either, because they're in
that's true.
Tartarus, so they can keep up, but they stay out of the theme. The weapons are underwhelming. They have the power glaive, which is +1 strength, +2 in the charge. So they're winning on 2s in the charge. AP3 murder, breaching 5 up. That's fantastic. And you can have. Well, you can't have lightning claws, but I think the glaive is so good. What's wrong, Sindri? What's wrong with the rules? I would love to put this squad into any one of my other armies. Why is they underwhelming?
Well, they're just underwhelming if like you're doing an all bike army.
Oh yeah, for sure. Narratively, like thematically, they don't fit, but they're 200 points. They're like dirt cheap, and they +1 to charge. Gonna run 12 inches until they're ready. Yeah, either way, I don't want to get stuck on them.
But I think compared to just to go back, 2 legions ago, Phoenix Terminators are 200 points, and they're infinitely better.
Yeah, infinitely better.
Yeah,
feel no pain, stubborn.
Is it 5 up? Feel no pain.
Yeah.
Okay, so Phoenix Guard are also stubborn.
Oh, okay. All right. Good arguments.
They're also
I like this squad.
I think.
But I mean, Phoenix Terminators are one of the things that help push the Emperor Children into S tier. So
that's true. Okay, so what's the weapon skill of the Ebon?
They're probably just 4. Yeah, they're 4. They're just regular dudes.
And that's one thing that I don't like about this edition. There's certain Terminators that are narratively supposed to be a cut above the rest, and they're only weapon skill 4.
Well, weapon skill 4 is a cut above the rest. You look at everything other than Marines, right? I'm
talking about other Marines.
Well, Ebon Keshig aren't supposed to be a cut above. These are guys who failed and did something wrong. These are Warhammer Fantasy Dwarf Slayers.
Okay. Yeah, then they can stay.
Yeah, their job their job is to die. I mean, leadership 10, stubborn. Oh, 3 attacks based on the profile.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a bad squad. So 3 attacks. Sorry, 2 wounds, 3 attacks base, breaching 5 up. Probably strength 6 on the charge. Either way, strength 5 otherwise. No, they have a lot going for 200 points. I put this into my Dark Angels all day long. I put my Iron Warriors all day long. But not why I'm making a case for our White Scars.
Should we move the ridiculous speeder?
Their speeder at first glance I didn't like. I'm like, this I can get firepower elsewhere. And it's heavy. So it can't advance and benefit from the free shrouding.
Okay.
But then I'm like, wait a second, it's 105 points, hit and run, a lot of firepower. No, this is actually a very good thing. I want to put more and more in the list I want to make. I think these things are like auto includes. They're going to tear down dreadnoughts. They're going to kill anything. So decent speeders, but they're support to the rest of the army. I don't know. I just don't know why it's heavy. That's it. Why is it heavy? But it's toughness 7, 4 wounds.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a really, really fast dreadnought in a system where dreadnoughts are very good.
Yeah, they just can't fight. Special characters, cool. Not worth talking about, just Kinza. Okay, so you want to have an army where I genuinely believe if I were to buy this up, paint this up, I'd get a couple of battle ports in, and I wouldn't be able to do more battle ports with it because people will complain like crazy that what this army is going to do is going to stop your opponent from doing anything. You're never going to have line of sight unless I want you to. I'm gonna be able to focus firepower. The game is so killy, but what if I can move out of your line of sight, focus down things faster? If I don't want to get charged, you're never going to charge. If I want to go melee, all the bikes can do melee very well. Man, I'll go back just to the Outrider bikes. Take a tactical support squad for 40 points more. You gain twin linked, double the movement, outflank. You gain the skirmish ability, so a better cover save. Free shrouded if you advance. So yeah, they're toughness 4, 1 wound. They're gonna have 2 saves all the time unless I'm shooting or charging, and I'm only at 1 save that turn. So everything. The only downside of this list is if my opponent goes first,
okay, and
I can't hide my army, and it's not night, I might take some casualties. But that's true of every army. Now, this list will have a harder time hiding everything because your footprint's bigger, and White Scars do have the reroll a die for C's or whatever, something else like that. They get +1 to the roll to C who goes first, and +1 to the roll to C. So they seize the game on a 5+. So even that thing that I'm worried about, I have better chance than anybody else in the game of like going first or seizing. So the one downside of the list is like, I have mitigations that are built into the armies. Javelins with last cans and multi-melt is so good. Minimum squads of bikers everywhere. I'd buy chain swords and plasmas, or no, probably chain swords and plasmas. Maybe a melta squad. Doesn't really matter. It just you get so much for a few more points. People look at, they're only toughness 4, only 1 wound. Well, the Marine is only toughness 4, only 1 wound. A heavy support Marine is only toughness 4, 1 wound. Assault Marine is only toughness 4, 1 wound. If the heavy support squad put Volkite, Scimitar bikes, sit in the back, shoot at things that can't return fire, concentrate, you pick off a section of your army, your opponent moves to react to where you have moved, and then you're back the other way. Like, the movement is so ridiculously powerful that I'm going to tell you, we're going to do this again in a year after I get my White Scars done. We're going to move them to S tier. I'm 100% confident in that. You're going to be like, please don't play your White Scars. I don't want to play. I want to play the game too, because White Scars are going to stop you from playing the game. That's my argument.
So let me ask you this then.
Yes.
As a Dark Angel player, why would you ever make this a White Scar list and not a Dark Angel list? Because
White Scars with the 2 very good. I thought about this in great detail. 2 very good reasons. Because Dark Angels can do all Ravenwing, and when Ravenwing does the Shrouded, they get to reroll their saves. That's so stupid good. No, here soapbox time. 2 reasons. Okay. 1, the Chigoran Brotherhood.
Okay.
The Rite of War gives me scoring bikes. The Dark Angels don't get scoring bikes.
Okay, that's pretty hot.
2, what the hell is Johnson going to do for a Ravenwing list? Khan is going to make it S tier.
By giving them
2 reasons assault. Right there. No. Johnson can't keep up and play with the play style of the Ravenwing list. Khan can. Khan on foot can, let alone Khan on a bike.
Wait, why can Khan on foot?
Because he moves 8, he runs 8, he runs 16. Hit and run.
Okay. Yeah, I see your point. Okay. I'm going to say, until I see that list.
No, I get you. I'm so, you know me better than people watching this, right? You know I'm arrogant on camera, but I'm super arrogant on camera. I'll hold back things that people are going to disagree with me on a lot of things, but this, no, I want you all to disagree with me because I'm going to show you.
Because I hear you when you say, "Oh, you're never going to get line of sight on me," but that also means you're not getting line of sight on me.
No, I am. So I'm gonna put this in, I'm gonna put line of sight on enough units that I know I'm gonna kill. And then
Okay.
when I'm the things that the lanes that you can see, you guys are all dead because I didn't put one or two things shooting at them. My army shot at them. So now you have to shift over. No, it's gonna be so frustrating to play against. I'm so positive.
Okay.
Thank you, Todd.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
When it's done, you let me know, and I'll make the drive.
Beautiful. Please don't show me bikes with scars in 2.0 because I want them to be good. My experience. Well, so and I'm gonna point out this again. I agreed. Sorry, not I agreed. My thoughts on white scars early were okay. Bottom tier, mediocre. I don't see it. It's only because I've played so many games that now I see the value. Like just my one unit of Ravenwing Scimitar Plasma guys. Like I've only ever got shot. They got shot like once ever. Like they don't die. Like I put them more in. They only shoot at things that don't return fire. I allowed somebody to return fire on them once and they died. I'm gonna put the only fire at things that can't return fire because of range or stuff like that. Like they have so much power. Like so much like the ability, their movement is their biggest strength. I can move away from this. I can get on this. I can block that. It's just what my whole army was that. That's my thing for white scars. So we got them in B tier, and I'm comfortable leaving them there until I can prove otherwise. But chat. Have I convinced anybody that they belong up in A? Or Frenchie, have I convinced you, or should we leave them at B until I can back it up?
Unconvinced.
You're unconvinced?
Unconvinced.
Okay.
Solid.
All right.
I see where you're coming from, but it's one of those I need to see it in practice because all I see right now is a bunch of really expensive bikes.
Thank you, Cat Bond. They're not expensive. That's the point.
How much is a 5-point scimitar squad?
Hey, wait. Just for weapon skill from why are the jet bikes good? Oh, white scars. Oh. Okay, here. I'll do this for you right now. Let's go. What do you have open?
I've got the trader book.
Go to a heavy sports squad.
Okay. Heavy sport. Okay, 100 points, 5 dudes, comes with heavy bolter.
All right, give okay, let's go with just heavy bolters. So you have 5 heavy bolters for 100 points.
Okay, yep. So 20 points.
Find the
page 59 in the trader book.
Beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna have to add 60 points. So for 165 points, to get the same heavy bolters. So 65 points more than the heavy support squad. I'm gaining 16-inch move.
Which is great.
Double the move. Double the wounds.
Double the wounds.
Deep strike, fire, hammer of wrath, relentless, can't be pinned. And a chainsword if I have to fight.
It's fairly solid.
Then they can put a Vulcan on there, or a plasma, or a multi-melta.
I think the two biggest strengths that
a lot.
Yeah, I agree. The two biggest strengths that I think a lot of people are going to overlook is A, they can't be pinned. Because if you pin a heavy weapons team, they're useless. And if something
wait, hold on. These are so vastly superior to a heavy weapon squad because they're relentless. They can move and shoot. I can move my heavy weapon squad 16 inches and get line of sight and range on targets and avoid yours. Once I started doing the math on this, I'm like, why would I ever take a heavy weapon squad ever again?
Well,
other than las cannons, because they can't take las cannons. Now let's go back to my favorite one, the Outrider squad.
Yeah, the one I never see. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to cost 50 points more. That's 1/3. So how many points is 5 tactical support squad with plasma?
Like 150, I want to say.
150. Well, the Outrider squad is 135 points. It's cheaper. You gain Twin Linked, you gain twice the movement, you gain Free Shrouded, you gain Skirmish, you gain Scout, you gain Hammer of Wrath, you gain a Chainsword, and it's cheaper.
135. Sorry.
135?
Yep.
Same points. All right, now let's compare the Outrider squad to a tactical squad. Outrider squad with upgrades, 85 points for 5, 100 points for 10 tacticals. Chainsword, Twist of Movement, Scout, Hammer of Wrath, Hit and Run. I forgot about Hit and Run. And Relentless, can't be pinned.
Okay.
Stop comparing everything to first edition, comparing to what you do in the game now. The move, I do that for the movement alone. I'll pay 50 points to get my, you only get 3 Outriders? Okay, good point. Okay, sorry. So it's going to be 135 points. So it'll be 35 points more. Yeah, you're right.
But still, I see your point, because previously a Scimitar bike was a tough 5, 2-up save, kind of just a really mobile juggernaut.
They were broken, and everybody bought them to be powerful, and everybody stopped reviewing them because they were just too good.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Well, we should probably move on if you want to try and get the rest.
Okay. So I've already convinced you. What's next? Who's next?
Wolves.
Ooh, okay. Space. I don't know where to put them. You remember where we have them?
I think B.
Okay, so it wants to be a melee army in a game that wants to shoot. Mm-hmm. What's their thing?
Their thing is that they can.
If you can run and charge.
And charge.
Yeah, run and charge is good. And then if you can't run, you get +1 weapon skill on the turn instead. That sounds really good. Except for, I feel like if you're running and charging, you're not using half your unit strength as shooting. Or if you want to do melee, but you're running across the field, you're going to die. So either you're coming out of a transport or you're a fast-moving squad anyway. So I don't know if running and charging is all that big a deal. The +1 weapon skill is pretty good. Mm-hmm. But I want to point out, like, this is not like Wolf Space Wolves. I've played against them plenty. I don't get them because I'm terrified of them, but never seem to lose against them.
Yeah.
They have
+1 weapon skill is huge, because it's +1 weapon skill to stuff where it matters, like Terminators. Which can be great
on Cataphractii Terminators.
Yeah,
I think Tartarus Terminators are just better in 2.0 than Cataphractii. I'll lose 1 invuln for the ability to get +1 to move and run, and not -1 reaction movement.
I think it depends on what you're trying to get them to do.
Hold. I don't know if holding is all that big a deal.
Holding, playing bodyguard. I think
bodyguard is different, but Chosen Warrior is really powerful. They do have one of the best reactions in the game. That's if anything moves within 12 of them, they can just do a charge.
Yep.
That's so good.
Because it does that paranoia thing we were talking about before. I don't want to move because I know what's going to happen.
Well, there are plenty of games where it's like, okay, it's turn 2 now, turn 3 now, I gotta play Jurassic Park. As long as nobody moves, they can't see us.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, though.
So nobody moves. But you just stand there and shoot them all to death. That's the downside. So they have a special console that is it a console? Well, the psychic power that gives a 3-up shrouded. I'm like, come on, that's nuts. Like, why is that so good? I'm like, oh, wait a second. If you have night vision, which is stupid easy to get on any of your guns, you ignore it. So that's nothing. Rights of War don't seem all that great. There's the one that has to, like, there's like weird restrictions.
There's one where they have to be the allied, which is
that's the one.
Fluffy. And I could totally see myself like making a detachment of Space Wolves, but just for that.
Well, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I don't get them. Their frost weapons seem not great.
Yeah,
I'll pay more for. I don't know.
Is
Reaping Blow.
Reaping Blow. Yeah, I'm not impressed by Reaping Blow.
They have one of the best Primarchs in the game, hands down, for fighting anything. Absolutely anything. He's the beast. Love him. Yeah. Love him. He's exactly what he should be. I can't stand the Wolfkin because Luca makes me kill his dogs. I hate that. Sure. That's a big negative for me.
Yep.
Death Sworn. Luca doesn't like them because they're heavy, and they're only weapon skill 4. So they get weapon skill 5 on the charge. I get it. Their Death Sworn do seem uninteresting. Because they're only weapon skill. If they're weapon skill 5 and heavy, okay, I'd make an argument for them. But they're weapon skill 4 and heavy, so they get weapon skill 5 when they charge, but they can't run and charge. So they're just inferior and elite fighters with counterattack and stubborn.
Essentially, just
and a bunch of other rules, but
artificer armored destroyers.
I could have swore they had Chosen Warrior. I thought the Varangard had Chosen or Vargear I chose a warrior.
No, but Bargear I still think are one of the better Terminators in the game at the moment.
Why is that?
Just their set of rules. Because I was with an Alpha Legion player the other day, and we were going through like best Terminators to probably steal, and they're definitely up there because I forget what it is. I forget all their rules, unfortunately. Do you have them in front of you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lord's Bane, Hammer of Wrath 2, Stubborn, Counterattack, Fear, they have Fear.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Lord's Bane, Mauls with special rule can issue challenges, so they can issue a challenge every turn. While Russ, yeah, that's why they're really good. They're amazing with Russ because they can I don't want to fight Parabo with Russ. I'll deal with him later. I want to kill all 5 of his robots, so I'll have this guy challenge, and somehow I whip killing the robots. Well, this guy will challenge next turn. I'll do next turn. So that is a very powerful ability. But again, this to me comes down to they buff Russ, not Space Wolves.
Yep, which he doesn't need any buffing.
Gray Slayer's not okay. Sure, good, bad. I don't know, not bad.
It's cool that they have shields.
Gray Stalkers, like Geiger, cool. Like it's all to me. That's where I stand on Space Wolves. They do one thing very well, and that's follow Russ. And he's terrifying. He carries them. But I think without Russ, they tend to get shot to death too much. They have no. Okay, sorry. You have to have, in my opinion, you have to have movement, shooting, melee. You have to all these things to play the game well. But if you're gonna lack in one area, it can't be shooting.
Yeah.
And that's what they do.
Not only do they lack in shooting, but they actually even give up their shooting to do their special trick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so B tier. Like, is Russ enough to bump up to A? Absolutely. But that's not a fair thing, so I say leave him in B.
Real quick. See you later, Todd. Thanks for hanging out.
Later,
Todd. Yeah, B tier. Because their big thing in first edition was that, like, I think it was like every 5 could take a power fist in their troop squad. They're Gray Hunters or Gray Slayers, whatever they were in first edition. But now that's so expensive that it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
So,
So Jan said their real dudes were better. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. But also look who we have in C tier. So.
Exactly.
But yeah, they are the definition of a one-trick pony to me.
Yeah, I agree. Thoroughly agree.
But they literally sacrifice everything else to do it.
Having Russ within 12 inches of you is terrifying. So you just shoot him.
Yeah, and if you're playing a game where Russ can't be brought,
but like they're not bad. Like they don't belong in C tier, like at all. Okay, so I'm gonna put them in B, but I have to put them at the top for now.
Sure,
because they're the first thing there.
A and B, so yeah.
And sorry, we left White Scars in B. You want them below Space Wolves, right? I think White Scars are gonna make a mockery of Space Wolves.
I actually like. I'm thinking Scars are better than Wolves at this point.
Thank you. Okay, I love it
because that +1 movement is so.
I love huge. It. It's White Scars about. Thank you. Okay, we have some people agreeing. I love that.
Yeah.
But just because you agree with me doesn't mean we're right. I can be very wrong.
True.
My arrogance is a facade. Okay, who is next? Next is going to be. Let me scroll this down. Imperial Fists. Okay, everybody.
I hate them. I hate them so much. I hate what they've done to my game.
They're so broken. I'm sorry, Imperial Fist players. I love these guys, but they're broken. It's mainly the Rights of War.
Okay, so before we get into any of that, let's just look at the Legion Astartes ability. If you were to just leave it at +1 ballistic heal for bolters like they were, not nearly as bad.
Yeah.
But now that they're also auto, and there's so much auto in the game, there's entire tanks now that are either bolter and auto or one or the other.
No, that's like +1 is Snapfire as well, eh?
Yeah. I hate it.
I pinned you. Oh, you slipped me off ice?
Yeah. And there's nothing that has to be done for it to turn on.
Yes,
It's not like
you got to paint your army the best color.
but that's the thing. Like the things that they get the +1s to is there's so many things that you can just make an entire army that really doesn't have any guns that aren't at BS5, and that's obnoxious. That's not the best, but it's obnoxious.
Buddy, I'm with you. Now the thing is I was one of the guys going, okay, I see the power of fists, but like you can mitigate them, and then I've been reading more and more. I'm like, wait a second, if I did this, and this, I'm like, okay, yeah, Imperial Fists. Now, it's not going to be the army, like the Race of War, fantastic. It's not going to be the army to make this my first army. I'm just going to dominate every game. So I'm just playing. It's not going to happen. You're going to have some bonuses. It's just when you start putting things together.
Yeah. So, and we'll get into it when we get into the units, but the fact that because of a couple different rules all piling on top of each other, they can take a heavy weapon team that all have rending assault cannons that are now scoring. Pick two. You can't have all of it.
But I mean, at least those weapons are like 24-inch range, and if you have longer range firepower, you can start to deal with them. But I mean, if you're not focused, if you're not a shooting focused army, you can't really do that. Like you got to get close with your stuff, and they're tearing apart your melee.
They're tearing apart your melee. They're tearing apart your light tanks.
They're tearing apart anything they can see.
Yeah,
that's in range.
And they're cheap. They're like 200 points.
Too cheap. That's kind of the thing. And so your buddy Wade, once you learn to like bring like multiple squads of snipers to pick out certain things, yeah. What's their advanced reaction? It's like the Spaceful one, right?
Yeah, they get to charge if you're too close, I think.
Yeah, charging on your opponent's turn. Yeah, those are the best advanced reactions.
Cut above the rest.
Okay, so we don't have to get into it. I don't know if we have to get into it. They have two of the best Rights of War in the game. Like, the two best in the game are theirs, right?
Yes.
What do you want to say about them? I think everybody knows about the Stone Gauntlet by now. We've all heard people talk about Stone Gauntlet forever.
I mean, Stone Gauntlet did have a major change from first to second. It was just blanket. You had a shield, you got toughness 5. Now it's you re-roll your invuln. But now that you can put breachers base to base, and they're now a 4-up invuln instead of a 5-up, and you can make it re-rolling, terrifying.
Yeah. Can you choose to take your invuln over an armor save? Can you have to bolt these guys down?
To the best of my knowledge, you have to take whichever is better. Because
the 4-up roll is even better than 3-up against bolt guns, right? Like, they will die. Well, you don't want to fight them. They're going to sit with feel no pain on an objective. They're too hard to shift. They're frustrating to play against. That's it for them. But it also does make it really strong. And you're playing a kill a bunch. They're going to kill a bunch. The game's over, but they won on points.
Right.
It's just frustrating. I actually think the Hammerfall Strike Force is 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, no, it's terrifying.
This is one of the things where once you learn how to, like, everything is deep strike, essentially, in simplest terms. And once you learn how to do that, it's just, it's turn 2. Game's over.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if the rotor cannons only, or the assault cannons only have a 24-inch range when they deep strike right next to you.
Well, I mean, they're going to be hitting on 5s.
So. Okay.
Sigismund is a solid character. I'm not going to hate on Imperial Fist for that. Sigismund deserves to be. Dorn is finally playable, at least.
He is.
He was terrible last time.
So I'll throw one thing out there on the Sigismund topic. So when I was at Nova Open this year, we had about a 3-hour conversation on all of the first captains. And it is hands down, no contest. Sigismund is the best first captain because of all of his stuff together. And even if you were to take Eternal Warrior away from him, because he's the only one that has it for some reason, he's still insane. Because he has, I think Corswain's the only one that has a better invuln save than him. And he can make you re-roll successful invulns. That's so ridiculous.
Look at, so again, like I said earlier, like probably an hour ago, whoever wrote these rules read the books, like they knew the lore, and they're like,
right,
Sigismund's the guy.
Oh, for sure. And
Sigismund's fine, move along.
he is terrifying. But yes, for anyone that's curious, it was Sigismund was first, undisputed. Corswain is second because of a 3-up invuln, and then it's Sevatar was third.
He can. I'm not saying he will. He can go toe-to-toe with some of the Primarchs.
He is a Primarch. He just doesn't have the rule. Yeah, he's insane.
Templar Brotherhood, a good solid melee squad. I mean, you get 10 mauls, weapon skill 5, 2-up armor.
Yeah,
they have very solid shooting, very solid melee, a fantastic rate of war. Oh, sorry, 2 fantastic rates of war, a fantastic advanced reaction. The only thing they don't have is specific mobility buffs. But they got huge in every other area, thus making these guys #1 superist here.
I don't need a mobility buff when my Terminators can have a 3-up invuln.
Wait, I lied. They have a mobility buff because the everybody deep strikes.
Yeah,
they got everything.
There's nothing they can't do, and it's so annoying.
And they all gain Strata when they do that deep strike rate of war too, right?
Of course they do.
It just, yeah. I mean, 40 shots per guy. You know what? Moving on. Who's next?
Night Lords.
Night Lords.
So Night Lords, they had some changes to a talent for murder, but it's still very good.
I like it.
Yeah, same.
Narratively.
So anything pinning, falling back, or outnumbered, they get +1 to all wound or armor penetration. And so before it was +1 to hit and +1 to wound when you were outnumbered. So they added the pinning and the falling back, but they took away the +1 to hit.
Mm-hmm.
But now it also counts towards shooting and armor penetration, which is huge because it's so easy to outnumber. And as a Night Lord player, I love the way that this changes the game because you're always thinking about how can I get talent for murder on my opponent? Do I need to pin it? Do I need to kill one more guy with that bullshit unit across the field so I can outnumber with the Sicaran? But there is one giant drawback, and it's a great benefit for the Night Lords player, and it's a huge disadvantage for everyone playing them. So they came out and said all vehicles are 10,
yeah,
which is solid. But they didn't do anything for Contemptors. So
that's the thing. Dreadnoughts once again making vehicles redundant.
Right. So what that means is one Terminator counts as outnumbering that. So hilarious, but a drastic oversight. How
many bodies do you think a Contemptor should be worth? 5?
So the Night Lord group on Facebook, we talk about it all the time, obviously. The consensus is I believe 4. And a Leviathan is 7, I think. So
6 or drink later. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean
it's just so dumb.
Honestly, as long as it's less than 10 and above 1, I think we'll all be content. But
I mean, narratively, I think they nailed it. And functionally, with the exception of the Dreadnought and the Contemptor, it works all pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, you're right. It does take some mental work, math, and like figure out what you're doing where. Some people really enjoy that, some less. I really like that kind of stuff. You can really take advantage of situations.
Yeah, I agree. So I have mixed feelings about their advanced reaction, especially because of the FAQ. So just to cover that real quick. So the FAQ made it so when you do hold the line, if you fail your morale roll, you fall back.
Well,
and you still
that was always the case.
Right, but now it's clearly stated.
Yeah.
So the Night Lord reaction is if you're going to declare a charge against me, I can choose to fail and fall back, but I immediately regroup.
Oh, that's good.
The catch is if there's another Night Lord unit within 12 inches, you can redirect to them.
Oh God, that's so Night Lords.
If it didn't have that second part, like it would be so good. But it's just like, no, don't fight us, fight them. Bye. Don't punch me in my pretty face.
It's still there's still a good advanced reaction. It's not a contender for top 5, but
Right.
I think it's a pretty good reaction. No, let me rephrase that. It's a usable one.
But I will say, as a guy who runs a 15-man squad of Terror Assault Squad, there we go, all with Volkite, and you finally get that charge on them when they flee and then shoot next turn with 30 shots.
Exactly.
It's a feel bad moment.
So I was literally thinking, so this is a pretty good Night Lord's advanced reaction, but like if my Iron Warriors had that, I'll trade you.
Yeah,
like it's really good for shooting army. Oh, it's really good for everything, I guess. But no, you know, it's a good advanced reaction. I like it.
It's good. It's just not amazing. Does it suit them fluff wise? 110%.
I bet you it's like, God, I love Night Lords. Night Lords is also an army I almost played back in the day before I did Iron Warriors.
Well, it's funny. When you are a Raven Guard player who sells the Raven Guard to buy Emperor's Children, and then you're an Emperor's Children player and you start getting into horror, it's really quickly how you jump into Night Lords. So
Damian Kuhn says, I don't know. You can roll poorly and just have your advanced reaction do nothing. But that could be said for like almost all of them, dude.
Sadly. I'll be honest, the Warlord traits, none of them, they're very fluffy, but none of them are going to break the game.
Sure.
The fact that one of your Warlords can get up to a Fear 3 can be super terrifying.
That's cool.
It's super them, but yeah. 2 Rights of War. One of them's amazing. One of them is hot, stinky garbage. So the Swift Blade was really cool before. Well, it was kind of interesting before. But now you essentially take up to 5 HQs. None of them can be Praetors, and they all have to be on a bike of some sort. And in return, they all get counterattack and ignore penalties for moving and charging over difficult terrain. And the other big thing is you have to kill all 5 of them to get Slay the Warlord. But that's all it does, really. Your Outrider squads become troops. But it's nothing amazing, and it's really just focused on those 5 guys. So with that being said, Terror Assault is, I will wholeheartedly say, this is the most hated Rite of War in the game, and I love it. Because they can make night fighting go to 3 turns.
And your Legion, we can talk about your Legion Butcher rule. Did we say that part? Where they all have night vision? Oh, no.
They don't all have night vision.
No, Kurz gives them all night vision.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. That's the most frustrating thing in this game. Everything in this game is narrative, unless Daddy's here. Everybody open your eyes better. That makes no sense narratively.
I'll explain it narratively when we get there.
Oh, can you really?
Yeah.
My bad. I didn't know what I didn't know. Fair enough.
So the Deep Strike or the night fighting thing is huge. And then Terror Squad and Raptors become troops like they did before. But in this edition, they're not scoring anymore, which means if you run this list like you used to, you will have no scoring. And then
after playing, I don't know how you feel about this. After playing a bunch of games, you do not need scoring in a list.
True.
That's how I feel now. Okay, good. Okay.
If you can kill everything, you don't need to score anything.
Typically, yeah, I know. Well, let's be fair. The Heresy 2.0 has some gaps. One of them is the snares still aren't great. And most often, the objectives aren't what wins you the game. It's like the secondary kill points.
Yeah. Agreed. And then the last part of it is literally just a discount. Everything that's a character gets Fear 1. Now, you can put this on a lot of independent characters for 10 points, but it's cool because now your sergeants have Fear 1. So it's literally a board wide of your leadership is worse.
Yeah, honestly, Fear is one of my favorite rules in the game. I wish I could get more access to it, especially with the army that wants to pin you and stuff. I love Fear.
Yeah. And one thing, like, I'll throw in on the night fighting thing, and then I promise I'll move on. there's so much that happens in turn 1 and turn 2 that almost in every game, my opponent has been like, is it still night fighting? And it's like, yeah, sorry about your luck.
Well, so we have Night Lords in A tier, right? We do. If it wasn't for that, well, yeah, because I think I played against only that Rite of War.
That's all.
That Rite of War is what you're going to play against 80% of the time. That's what keeps them in A tier. I don't think they'd be there otherwise. It's not good enough to push them to S tier. But we're not at that part of the conversation yet. Sorry.
Yeah, but no, I see where you're going from. But yeah, if you were to take that from us, it would suck a lot.
Yeah. You'd be low A, high B, but whatever.
Yeah. So weapon wise, they're unchanged a little bit. So we can get a +1 strength, power sword or shred, which is pretty tight.
I like it. Breaching 6 up and shred.
What's that?
Breaching 6 up and shred.
Yep.
I like it.
Same. And the chain axe got better. It's now +2 strength instead of +1. Or sorry, chain glaive. Also love it because it got shred because it's a chain weapon. And then my favorite weapon that they have is the headsman's axe, because when you tell your opponent that you're swinging at strength 8 AP3 at initiative, they get a little salty.
Yep. That's a fantastic weapon.
Yep. And then you have the ridiculous power fist that essentially just is murderous strike 6 and shred, because a power fist needs shred.
Is it unwieldy? Oh, it is unwieldy.
It is, yeah. So it's just that, but it got murder strike this edition, which is cool. The only people you can take this on though is an independent character, and the Kontakar sergeant. So
beautiful models, but I wish they didn't exist. But that's all. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. So Lord of Murder is cool because it gives them the bloody murder rule, which is essentially anytime you're charging someone that's pinned or falling back, you get +1 to the charge distance and +1 attack. Which, as we go through this and you see like how all these things can combine up, it gets super gross.
Wait, I just noticed. Okay, carry on. I just noticed something, but I'll see what you say first.
Yeah. What's that?
No, go ahead. I want to see if you get to it first.
Oh, okay. So Prey Sight is, night vision for 15 points model. Or 15 points.
A unit. That's what I was going to talk to. I never seen anybody use that before, but like that seems like an auto include.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, are you guys all using it? It's not pointing it out?
What's that?
Are you guys you just auto put it on all your units, go with that Rite of War, and it's just not pointed out. I get it actually. Sorry, I didn't know that was an upgrade.
It's essentially a tax, but it's a tax that every Night Lord player will pay every
happy to pay for it. Because you can put it on a vehicle too, right?
Right, and that's what I was exactly going to go to, because it's not correct in Battlescribe, or I think might still be messed up at Quartermaster. But you can put it on any unit, including a Dreadnought, including a tank.
Love it.
So,
love it.
Trophies of Judgment, it's cool. 10 points gives you Fear 1, but it doesn't stack with Fear. So you can only ever get Fear 1, but that's fine.
That's how many points is it? 10 points?
10 points.
I'd probably put it wherever I could.
Yeah. So Kurz, they did such a wonderful job with Kurz that I want to put him in every list, and that's not because of his sire ability.
So I want to put it before you get into it. When I first read it, I'm like, oh, so they kind of nerfed him. I didn't understand the game yet. Kurz is terrifying.
Yeah. So just to start with stats, so he's got the weapon skill of all of the big duelists.
Yes.
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
He's initiative 7, so he's one step down from Fulgrim. Okay. But he's 7 attacks, is where we haven't seen anyone above 5 recently, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, wasn't Pretty Boy?
Which boy?
Fulgrim? Fulgrim's 6. Interesting.
Fulgrim's, yeah. So he's got more attacks, and then he also is double armed. That is not included in his profile.
I love Mercy and Forgiveness. What do you want, Mercy or Forgiveness? I love that.
Yeah.
His weapons are named Mercy and Forgiveness.
Yeah. So, Sire of the Night Lords, he gives everyone night vision for free, so it's a huge discount to building a list.
Yep.
So that.
But to be fair, he's also one of the more expensive. He's one of the most expensive Primarchs.
He is.
So you're paying for it some way.
Yeah. Now, with that being said, he also gives Bloody Murder to the entire army, which normally you can only give Bloody Murder to independent characters.
Okay.
So this is giving your tacticals Bloody Murder. So now pinning and fleeing is even scarier because they can run you down, essentially. So that's great. He has hit and run, just like the Khan, which is amazing.
Best rule for a Primarch.
Yep. He is Fear 3, so now your tactical is Leadership 5 when you're within 12 inches.
Crazy.
Which is insane. And then we'll get into the other stuff, but I just love how it's written. So 2 up, 4 up, he ignores all modifiers to his movement and automatically passes dangerous terrain and runs 12 inches when he runs, giving him a 20-inch movement without a jump pack.
But I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
He can't bring his friends with him, but
whatever.
Easy mobile.
Yeah. So when I run him, because of that, I actually just hop him from squad to squad. So he'll start out in like a squad that had to stay back, and then he'll join a terror squad that infiltrated, just to give him the bodyguards. So Mercy and Forgiveness, no bonuses to strength, so he's still only strength 6, but Murder, strike 4+, and Shred.
Honestly, so, okay, that's
Exterminators.
Yeah. Gonna, if I don't get a 4+, I'm gonna reroll it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the Widowmakers, I dig them. Rending 4+ is great because you can just pop a couple shots off as you're running past. If you ever don't run him.
Rending 4+ instead of ignoring invulnerable saves on a 6 wound like it used to be.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
But the next 2 things are my favorite things, hands down, that they added to him.
They're so cool.
So, he is a psyker, and they actually added it. So he has to take the psychic test on a 7, which is real scary. But keep in mind, if he fails it, someone else in the squad can take the wounds.
Yeah, he punches somebody like, my brain, you're dead.
But in return, he gets Feel No Pain 4+, which is terrifying.
Crazy.
And then an additional attack. So now we're 9 before we even charged. This won a duel for me against Valdor with Josh. And that's so good. So, and his last thing is just the most cursed thing I've ever heard, which is the King of Terrors. And if he completely obliterates a squad, everyone that can draw line of sight immediately takes a pinning test.
So it used to be a panic check.
Yep.
But I still really like it. It's still awesome. He kills something, take a bunch of panics. I love him.
Right. But before it had a range to it. Now it's everywhere on the board.
Yeah. I've lost games because I had Kerr's hit and run out of a big squad that was fighting him. He goes, punches a tank. It was Josh playing. He punched a tank. It blew up. And then my whole line, like, no. And it left the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even Batman's here.
So Kurz. I love it. So Terror Squad, in my opinion, one of the best bang for the buck squads in the entire game. So
make the case.
What was that?
Make the case.
Make the case. All right.
115 points. You got 5 models, basic stats. Although they have 2 attacks.
2 attacks. Yep. 2 attacks, but 9 leadership too. That's key.
Aren't they all 9? Are they 7, 8, or 8, 9?
They're 8, 9.
No, but regular Marines, are they?
Oh, regular Marines are 7, 8.
Are you sure? I think they're 8, 9.
They are not. We can check. We have books in front of us.
7, 8. Yep, you're right.
Yep. I have to know leaderships, man. I play 9.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
But probably the most overlooked thing is their skirmishers, which is huge.
Skirmishers nice.
Cover saves. And bigger unit coherency is great.
The skirmish doesn't come up too often. So skirmish is you have a 3-inch coherency instead of a 2-inch coherency, and then a +1 to all your cover saves, which is pretty solid actually.
Yep. They have infiltrate. They also have bloody murder. Don't stop. They are precision strike 6, which is a nice added flavor.
Mm-hmm.
They innately have fear, but probably the biggest thing is they have preferred enemy infantry.
True.
Period.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So think of them kind of like vets without the bump to weapon skill, because they also have chain swords and bolt
Well,
pistols.
no. I'm not going to look at them that way. Because you only have one wound, right? So
They do.
they're tacticals with +1 attack and leadership for twice the cost, and then
Yeah.
a bunch of special rules.
Yeah,
But they're nice special rules.
Yeah. So the way a lot of people run them is the way I run them, which is all Volkite.
Yep, that's been a good way for a while.
Yep. So that's super good. Another thing to not overlook is they can go up to a 15-man squad, which now helps with a talent for murder.
Right.
So just to give you the scenario of what I do all the time. So they're shooting at a tactical squad, a 10-man, whatever. They're hitting on 3s. They're 2 shots apiece. And they're now wounding on 2s because they're outnumbering and a Volkite's strength 5.
Yep.
And then if it wounds again, and they have preferred enemy.
Yep.
And if it wounds again, they need a 2 to wound, and they're re-rolling once. It's so common that I'll be like, oh, I have 20 hits, 20 wounds. And you can't pay for.
That's
you
only
can't
425 points. No, plus the extra 5 guys.
Mm-hmm.
So it's shy of 300, but it's gonna get work done. What's the range on the Charger?
15.
Okay.
So
There's other dedicated shooting armies will probably have these guys put down
sure.
before they get into threat, but you have enough other things. I'm not gonna look at it into a vacuum.
Right, but this isn't a shooting squad. It has great firepower, but it's, in my opinion, it's a little bit of both.
Well, I guess you have 3 attacks base, 4 in the charge per model.
Right.
With preferred enemy and talent for murder. Oh yeah, that's getting work done.
If that squad is pinned or falling back, now they're 5 attacks apiece.
Do you take rotor cannons? Do you put any rotor cannons in the squad?
You can.
I would. It's a pinning weapon.
Yep. So I've run with like 10 Volkite chargers and 5 rotor cannons. The issue is rotor cannons have a really hard time of wounding, and you need to get a wound through to do the pinning.
True, but are they like +1 to wound because of the talent for murder? It's wounding on 4s.
They are. So they're wounding on 4s. They just have no AP, no way of getting AP. Their range is also a lot farther than the Volkite, which kind of sucks too. But what I actually like doing with them, because the Warlord traits are good, but what I really love doing is putting my Praetor with these guys, giving them Stoic Defender, and now the Volkite Chargers are pinning.
It's just the best Warlord trait.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a core rulebook Warlord trait. Whenever you just gotta shoot at something, you don't have to do any wounds, right?
No, I think you still have to wound, because it just gives them pinning.
Oh, I thought it was. I think that doesn't matter. Oh, you know that. Yeah, it's pinning, but yeah, you're right.
But yeah, they're so good and they do so much work, and it's very rare that I play a game where they don't get their points.
Well, you really want to shoot when you get at least 1 model within 12 of your enemy, so you get that fear.
Yep.
This cough won't go away.
Yep. So Night Raptors are still good. They're weapon skill 5 now and 2 wounds, which is great. Hilariously, they're skirmishers too. Their creme de la creme is sudden strike 1, though.
That's a pretty good rule in the game of all Marines on Marines on Marines on Marines.
Right, exactly.
They're jump pack vets, otherwise.
Yeah, so they're jump pack vets. They can all take lightning claws, or you can give them chain glaives. So just to give you an idea, the sergeant, who is, if he were with dual lightning claws and able to charge a unit that is pinned, he is 7 attacks by himself.
Yeah.
So they will mulch most things that they can touch, but they will also get shot to death. So
I had to jump ahead of you on the contact, whatever I said. These things should not exist. They should have had the Atramentar.
Sure.
And that's it. But otherwise, the Terminators, whatever.
So to that, these are a type of Atramentar. But yes, I think a lot of people would have rather seen just the actual Atramentar. I'm one of those people. that would rather see that.
So I have one narrative question. We'll answer it fast. Is Sevatar a good guy or bad guy now at the end of his arc?
He's a bad guy.
Still a bad guy?
Always a bad guy.
Okay.
Just because you save one little girl's life, still a bad guy.
we have them in B tier. Or sorry, we have them in A tier. The right of war keeps them there. You can argue for S tier, but I don't think you're gonna win that argument. So the only question here is, do Night Lords belong before or after the Space Wolves? I mean, the Iron Warriors.
Before.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we didn't even touch on Sevatar, but Sevatar is an absolute monster.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Sigismund.
Yeah, I mean, if he had a Eternal Warrior, he would go toe to toe with Sigismund.
Absolutely. All right. Who is next? It is.
So next is Blood Angels.
Blood Angels. We'll go back to this book. Okay, so this is the Legion that I've heard people complain about the most.
Yep.
I think they're fine.
I think so too.
First round of combat, they get +1 to wound. Stupid good. Their advanced reaction is, you shoot at me, I'm going to charge you.
Huge.
Awesome. 2, off the bat, amazing things. I don't know enough about their rights of war. I just know that nobody really likes them. So the rights of war can't be a thing that carries them up or down, other than the fact that they don't have any good ones.
I know their rights of war, and I will throw my 2 cents in real quick. So before they took, I think it's Day of Revelation, where they all had to take jetpacks and do that. And now the strategy is to run the other one, the Day of Sorrow. And the reason why that is whenever the squad hits 50%, they get feel no pain and become line.
Yeah, I've played against that plenty.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really care about that too much, because the game is so deadly. A squad at 50% is dead anyway. It's just gonna take a slightly more firepower. I guess that's not nothing. Not nothing. Yeah.
But
okay.
if I was a Blood Angel player who started them because of all the Assault Marines, I would not be thrilled that the right of war is literally a 180.
So, it's funny how I've been a 40K fan for 20 years and never developed an opinion on Blood Angels. I find them so meh. At least Space Wolves make me feel hate. Blood Angels do nothing. It's fair. Blood Angels were a much loved faction, though. Infernal Pistols, 6-inch range melta guns. Awesome. They have the Blades of Perdition, which are rending 6-up, and brutal. Power swords that are +1 strength, rending, and brutal. That's a good, brutal too. Good weapon.
That rule
the
forever.
Spear of Perdition, brutal too. Like brutal and other their special melee weapons. Solid.
Yep. They
also have the Iliasis assault cannon, like the Yellow Boys do.
Yep.
I feel Sanguinius is lacking. He is weapon skill 8. He is he's got wings.
Yep.
But I feel like he doesn't. I don't know. There's nothing. Can you make a case for this guy?
Yeah.
He's
so to the best of my
85 points.
Yeah, he's expensive, but to the best of my knowledge, if he needs to get across the board, he can.
Sure.
Because the wings give him a ridiculous move.
So in this context, we're talking about Blood Angels in A tier. I don't see him as anything more than a melee Primarch. Well,
which he is.
But is that all he is?
What's the Sire ability do? Is that on top of my head?
All fully mauled Legion of Stars, Blood Angels, the same army, blah blah blah. Or so you have to be. It deploys as part of a deep strike assault or has a jetpack, +1 weapon skill on any turn in which to make a successful charge. In addition, so extra movement phase reaction if you deep strike or have a Warhawk jump pack +1 weapon skill when you charge. That is good.
Very good.
I don't know if that's amazing.
Yeah, but it makes you a lot more durable, having the fact that your opponent can only hit you on a 5.
So this is how I'm going to break that down. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. +1 weapon skill on the charge, right? So either you're a better fighter and you have higher weapon skill anyway, so it does nothing. You're an inferior fighter fighting a better thing, not going to do enough. Or you're even on even, and it gives you a slight edge on even, but you already had that with a +1 to wound. I don't think this is that big a deal.
Okay, I see your point. I think it's one of those things that sounds a lot better on paper. But
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
It might not be.
I love the Dawnbreakers, 2-up armor jump pack guys. I always tend to shoot them to death, but I still love them.
Yeah, they're very cool.
So a solid, fast melee unit. I think you can put a lot of points into shooting, and then you have your assault guys. Like it covers like fast, shoot, move, everything you need. I like the Crimson Paladins quite a bit. They get -1 to wound and melee, like a solid unit. It's not their rules so much for me. Even the Angel tier is a solid unit. It's their special units, I think, push them to A tier. +1 to wound is nice. Not +1 to wound on the first round of combat isn't what pushes them to A tier, in my opinion. It's their special units. Even though I don't think the Sanguinius is one that does it. I think he's fine. I don't think he's bad.
Yeah.
It's also weak. Sanguinius is
and
weak?
You
I
look
don't know if he's
into
weak.
like, some little things that like get overlooked a lot. So the Dawnbreakers can all take Volkite Serpentas, right? They get 2 of them because they're destroyers.
Yeah, I love that unit.
Are pistol 2 now. So that means each guy has 4 shots.
A lot of firepower.
Yeah.
No, they are bitter duty, but like whatever. You put a what do you call it in there? You put a character. What do you call those guys?
Mortat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, they're heavy.
Inferno pistols.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Counterattack, stubborn, bitter duty, all the typical stuff. I actually really like the Angel Steers. They're not the most expensive thing. They're not the cheapest thing. I really love the Crimson Paladins. I think they give you a lot for their points, and I really like the Dawnbreaker cohort. It's the units that make the Blood Angels A tier for me.
100%. It makes them solid legion.
I don't know if there's anything more to say about them. So we have in A tier, we have Night Lords, Iron Warriors, Blood Angels.
I'd almost say the Blood Angels might be a B.
Push them down to B?
Because they're good, but looking at what's in A, I think everything in A is better. Unless chat disagrees.
I'm down to B, yeah. Alright. This is our first B. We have White Scars and Space Wolves in B. Where they sit on that hierarchy.
Above Space Wolves.
But below White Scars?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. I don't mostly because whoops. I'm slowly pushing White Scars off the line here. But I like what you're doing. Could still be A, I agree. They could sit low A, high B, but I just push White Scars up.
Yeah.
Alright, we got next. Oh, let me get this next screen up. It is the Iron Hands.
So real quick. Do you want to get through all of these today?
Yeah, if you gotta stop, we will stop.
Well, because I'm thinking Iron Hands might be because that's about halfway. So if we wanted to break this into 2, that'd be great to finish these guys up. But that's up to you.
When will you be available for the next one?
Tomorrow.
What, during the day or in the evening?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, we'll go get tomorrow for sure then.
Okay.
So this will be our last one.
Yep. So Iron Hands, they are hands down one of the legions that I always want them to be better. Because their models are beautiful and I dig their fluff.
So here's my opinion on them as we get into them. In first edition, they were one of the best, if not the best legion.
Sure.
And I think they are still fantastic in this edition. The only reason we don't see them, in my opinion, is their Primarch died. That's it. I strongly believe that. I
don't know about that.
You don't think so?
I don't think that's going to stop someone from playing the Legion.
Okay, I kind of think it does, but
see, every Iron Hand player that is actually like a diehard Iron Hands player, they all like take it as a running joke. Like the only Iron Hand player we have in our local meta has a magnetized Ferris head. Like that's not going to stop anybody, I think.
All right. Their Legion specific rule is whenever they get shot with range attacks, it's -1 strength.
Huge.
That's so good. In a game where shooting is the most important thing, well, no, movement is, but then shooting. It just keeps things alive. Like shooting, like If these guys had, oh, it's such a good rule. It's a good Legion specific rule.
Right. Especially when you dive into it, because it means regular dreadnoughts are immune to bolter fire.
Dreadnoughts needed a buff. Vehicles get it. They don't get it. Vehicles get it. Will not die 6+. Don't worry, it gets better.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets better. Their advanced reaction, it's a better Overwatch one. I don't care about their advanced reaction, but they don't want to be in combat. That advanced reaction might save them from being in combat for a turn.
Yeah.
Rights of War. We got Loyalist and Traitor, right? No,
Yep.
we got just Loyalist, Traitor, Warlord traits. Rights of War. I remember I read all of these, and I remember they were uninteresting. Like the downsides were too big. Oh, Medusa. Sorry, it was restrictive. So, Company of Bitter Iron, Medusan Immortals are taken as troops. So, you kind of have to have them. You don't have to, but. And the other one is like use the automata stuff, which are really. So I don't really care about their Rights of War. Iron Father upgrades.
Fluff wise, I like the Bitter Fury, because it's essentially when Ferris died, they all lost their shit, and they don't necessarily give a shit about being loyalist if they don't need to. They're just trying to stay alive, which I dig. I think that's a really cool fluff aspect.
Okay.
But
they just don't have as much lore as the rest of the legions, right? It also gives Immortals part of the legion in line. Does it do that? Okay, so Iron Father is a special upgrade you get for your Praetor. A bunch of cool upgrades. Solid. Cyber Familiar, get better invulns, I believe. I'll tell you what Cyber Familiar does.
Tests.
Their equipment I don't care about. Ferris Manus, I think, is one of the best duelist Primarchs. Even though he's only weapon skill 7, he's got initiative 6, strength 12, AP 1, brutal 3 hammer. He's a dreadnought.
So there's something we shouldn't skip over in equipment.
Oh, sure. What is it?
They're easy access to grav. So one hilarious thing that we figured out is you can take a Moritat and give him dual grab pistols, and now he has 12 haywire shots. Yeah.
That's dumb.
But it's amazing. Sorry about your Spartan or your armored company.
Okay, so nobody ever brings vehicles, but if you do...
Yeah. Well, even hitting dreadnoughts. Like, he'll murk a dreadnought real easy.
True, that's true, actually, because you roll a 6 to wound, you get no invuln either.
And he's cheap.
Okay, that's actually really good.
Right, and you can also take support squads of all grab guns, too, which is also great for killing.
Graviton shows are assault.
Yeah.
That's really good. So,
they're
any unit that can take...
A flamer, I think it is.
No. Any model with infantry type and iron hands may upgrade a graviton gun for graviton shredder at 5 points. Who can take a graviton gun?
Breachers.
Yep. Okay. So it becomes a 12-inch range, assault 2, concussive 1, graviton, pulse, and haywire. Haywire is why you take it. That's going to put down some...
Yep.
Okay, all right. Equipment. So they're actually getting stronger in my mind.
Yeah, and then...
I've glossed over that stuff.
So the Gorgon Terminator armor is probably something we should talk about, too, because you can give it to characters or
Is it worth talking
units.
about? It's Feel No Pain, right?
Right. Giving up 1 point of invuln for Feel No Pain, which I would make that exchange for every day.
Is it, yeah, I guess so. They're gonna have a melee liability, but who cares? You already do anyway. And then lowering the strength of guns for threshold, you can have. Oh wow! Okay, think of this. Yeah, you already got it. So you have a character in heavy sports squad or whatever, tanking the missiles coming in on a 2+, and if he fails, it doesn't insta kill him, and he feels no pain.
Yep.
Another thing that shut down missiles.
You always have that blind chance too, which doesn't hurt.
What's the blind chance? Oh, right, in melee.
Yep.
I think you're going to die in melee anyway.
Save. I think.
So, Ferris Manus is like one of my favorite products in this entire book. If he was faster, but I mean, he shouldn't be. So, Weapon skill 7, 6 attacks, strength 12, AP 3 at initiative, or a brutal 3 at initiative.
Brutal 3 is so
Battlesmith
broke.
2 plus. He has a bunch of guns on his thing. 3 up invuln and melee. Um, and he hands those 6 up feel no pain to his army.
Whole army.
Yeah.
And it's a 6-up feel no pain that stacks with other feel no pains.
And then all other vehicles gain 5 of will not die.
Yep.
And I believe the one from the Legion specifically says that one stacks.
It does.
It does?
Yep.
So 4 will not die on your vehicles, 6 up feel no pain across the table on everybody who lowers the strength of weapons shot at them by 1. This is like, I have no on-table experience with them. Well, I have some actually, but minimal. I already want to push them up, but hold on. Gorgon Terminators, anything looking at here? Stubborn, feel no pain, 5 up. It doesn't get better. Basically, Indominus armor. Fine, cool. Medusan Immortals, Stubborn Leadership 10, feel no pain. With breacher shield, boarding shields. Okay, doesn't seem bad. Oh, it's a 10-man squad for 200 points. That's cheap. Yeah.
The other thing about Gorgons, too, is they can all take Thunderhammers, just like regular Terminators, which can make them real mean. They even get one for free, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the
Sarge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Power Action, I hate Power Axis edition, but there's arguments for it a little bit in some areas. Okay, so I think these are decent units. I would have started this army if of a new voice cards said if they weren't too close to my Iron Warriors, but there are Iron Warriors that are less offensive, more defensive.
Yeah,
but playstyle's the same, I think.
Yeah.
So
a lot of tanks, stuff like that.
With that being said, we have them at where do we have these guys? We have these guys. We have them in B tier.
I think they're A.
I would have put them in A originally, so I'm happy to move them up. So the only things we have in A that have been solidified now are Night Lords and Iron Warriors. So, well, first of all, Night Lords, are they better or worse than Night Lords? So it's a shooting focused army that is resilient. Now I want to point out, I'm gonna even though I think they're really good, I want to attack their resiliency. They may be more resilient than your average army, but everything dies by turn 3 anyway.
True.
The game is super killy. So they're not by any means immortal.
So I don't know. So just looking at units, I think Night Lords have better units than they do.
Yep, I agree.
So I would almost say maybe below Night Lords.
Okay, I agree with that. Now, Iron Warriors.
Iron Warriors, yeah. I don't know. That one you're gonna have way more experience in than I would.
Okay, so here's the whole thought process in my head. Right. They're the same play style. Mm-hmm. They're the same Primarch.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Iron Warriors, equipment, rights of war, all that kind of stuff is more about offense. Sure. Their Primarch buffs their defense ability in the shooting phase.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the other way around, Iron Hands are more defensive as a whole, and their Primarch buffs the defense. So there's a little more split on the Iron Warriors. Mm-hmm. Offense is more powerful than defense. I like the defense I want to put Iron Hands above Iron Warriors. Like maybe not. I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the only reason the Iron Warriors would be above is because of the reaction. That reaction's too
I don't
good.
know if I think maybe Iron Warriors are above, but I don't know because I don't think it's because of the reaction. I love Iron Warriors, but Iron Warriors are not S.
No matter how much we love them.
Iron Warriors perk always on the S tier. No way. I love Iron Warriors, buddy. Iron is iron. 6 of Feel No Pain across the board. It will not die is not that big a deal because there's no vehicles anyway. But I think Iron Warriors are better than Iron.
The 6 stacks. So, like, if you take apothecaries or you're on an objective with a tactical squad, it stacks.
I believe it does not.
Oh, really?
I think it doesn't.
Oh, that's a big difference for me.
Where is Menace? Yeah, the 6 of Philippine does not stack. It says so in the rule.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it would
That's
stack with Heart of War, I guess, or Heart of the Legion.
Heart of Legion. Yeah, that one I know stacks with other sources of Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would stack with that Ferris.
Don't get me wrong. Iron Warriors in 7th edition had 6 of Feel No Pain, and it was powerful. I think it's fine. Even though dive stacking a 4 up is cool, but I mean it's a vehicle. Like they're gonna get one shot at anyway.
True. Yeah.
I would say they're on par. Okay, you know what we have to do? I don't know. I'm gonna let the people here decide.
Yeah, I'm down.
They're on par. Where did you polls? Tabe, you are not allowed to vote because you think they're A tier. I'm kidding.
Okay. We got 1A.
No, I'll put a pull up.
Oh, that's a thing. Okay. Okay. It's an interesting argument. Offense being better than defense.
I think it is. I think offense is better than defense in this edition.
Because you don't really need to be defensive if you can just nuke it.
Exactly. We got 75% Iron Warriors and it's climbing.
Not surprised.
I think they're right. I think it's Iron Warriors.
Now, one last thing I will note is a Trader Iron Hands army has always been so appealing to me, and then they got a Trader Warlord trait.
Yeah. What was theirs again?
I forget.
Trader Warlord trait. Eye of Vengeance. Yeah. You prefer to be loyalist.
Which is amazing.
Oh, and a free reaction whenever you want to use it, like a bonus one. It's kind of cool. Yeah. It's whoever can kill faster. Yeah. I think Stumbled, you were right. Iron Hands are, I think, taking this lead. Okay, so we're taking the Iron Hands, we're pumping them up to A tier, and then we are dropping them below Iron Warriors.
Okay.
Okay, well, there we go, guys. That is halfway through. We didn't expect to take 3.5 hours to get this far, but Christian and I can talk forever on Heresy.
Truth.
Or pretty much anything. We'll do a fantasy one too, dude.
Oh, yes.
He did a 7-player Triumph and Treachery 2 days ago.
Yesterday.
Yes, it was yesterday.
It was last night.
Part 2 will be tomorrow. I'll be available all day, so whenever Frenchie's ready.
Yeah, I have off all day thanks to Mr. Martin Luther King.
Should we solidify a time thereabout? Should we aim for like noon or 3 p.m. or like what are we aiming for here? Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, let's do noon.
All right, we're aiming for noon tomorrow. I'm not going to schedule it. Things might happen, but see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. It's been awesome. Thank you for. Oh wait, actually, you know what? I might as well show you this. Thank you, Tape. I might as well show this off as where we're sitting right now on the tier list. It's kind of how we're sitting.
Oh yeah.
Why did the screen change? It's cut weird. Oh, so the icons are gone.
Oh.
So we'll put this guy back down here, and then all right, guys, have a good one. See you tomorrow.
Hey guys.